It is something special. The Oakland Coliseum, the home of the Oakland Raiders, as they entertain the Dallas Cowboys. A perfect afternoon. And I'll tell you, these fans are something else. Arriving here at the Oakland Coliseum, well, it makes you think that football is what it is and what it should be. And when John Madden, my colleague, got here, he got a special welcome.
We want John! We want John!
We want John! We want John!
You want John? We got John. John, it has to be a special feeling for you to be back.
There's no place I'd rather be today than right here. And, you know, I always felt that this was the greatest place to play football in the United States. I thought we had some of the best games here, some of the best players here, and I knew we had the greatest fans here. I never felt that football should have left Oakland, and I'll tell you, they're back where they belong.
And the fans are certainly the most enthusiastic we've seen in a long time. Let's talk about the two teams involved, the Raiders, Cowboys. Both start with crippled quarterbacks.
And I think, you know, I was watching Jeff Hostetler in the warm-ups, and, you know, he has a broken left hand, and he has a bad left shoulder. And when I was just watching him, it looks like it's affecting his motion. Now, I don't know how many hits he's going to be able to take today. You can see when he throws, he's holding that left arm in close. I was watching Troy Aikman. Now, we know that Troy was injured last week against the San Francisco 49ers. Didn't finish the game. Practiced most of this week. I don't think the knee is still completely healthy. And I'll tell you what, when you have two quarterbacks like that, the biggest thing has to be pass protection and pass rush.
John, confidence certainly is a very big factor in a game like this or any game. Who has the confidence edge?
Well, I don't think the Cowboys have it, but I think they can get it back. When they were beaten by the 49ers last week, I think they not only lost in the field, but they also lost their confidence. Conversely, the Raiders have all kinds of confidence. They have never lost here in the Coliseum this year. They feel it, the fans feel it, and they are going to go after the Cowboys.
And you can't help but feel it yourself, so get ready. Coming up, Dallas against Oakland. The silver and black is back. And back, well, it's unmatched anywhere else. The Oakland Raiders, and those of you who've been watching the Giants in Philadelphia, this is the Oakland Coliseum. Pat Summerall with John Madden, and fans here like nowhere else. They had to get up early or not go to bed at all. They get ready to get in a costume like that. The Raiders, Ismail. A yard deep in the end zone. A good kick by Chris Bonio for the Cowboys. Let's look at the Oakland offense. Led by Jeff Hostetler. Playing with a bad shoulder and a bad hand, but playing. Tough guy. Good offensive line in front of him. The three in the middle performing very, very well. Tim Brown, Ismail, Derek Fenner, Harvey Williams, and Kerry Cash opens at tight end. Jeff Hostetler. First and 10 Raiders at their own 20. Hostetler will put it up. On first down to Tim Brown. Let's look at the Dallas defense. They were severely challenged last week against San Francisco. Haley and Tolbert, the defensive ends. Russell Maryland playing with a banged-up knee, as is Chad Hennings. Smith, Jones, and Dixon Edwards, the linebackers. Deion Sanders and Alundis Bryce, number 29, opening at cornerback. Darren Woodson. Number 21, of course, is Deion Sanders, facing Ismail. And a flag on the play deep in the backfield. Deion Sanders came up to make the tackle.
And that's going to be holding against the Raiders.
Holding. Number 88 on the offense. Penalty. Repeat second down.
Kerry Cash. Good play by Deion Sanders. A good tackle by Deion Sanders.
You know, that's one thing about Deion Sanders is is they say that he doesn't tackle. It's not that he doesn't tackle. He doesn't miss tackles. But he's not in a position because he's a cover guy. He doesn't get in position to have to tackle a lot because they don't throw at him or around him. But if he has to, he is a good tackler. If he has to be physical, he is a good physical player.
Those of you who watched St. Louis and Atlanta, welcome to the Oakland Coliseum. 2nd and 17. This is the first offensive series of the game. And Hostetler back to throw it. Across the middle, Tim Brown. Cut down again around his knee, around his ankles.
There was talk before the game if Deion Sanders was going to play against Tim Brown. Now, he's not. What he's doing is he is playing to the strong side. He is taking the outside receiver that's on the same side as the tight end. And in the play so far, that has been Rocket Ismail.
And again, a welcome to those of you who've been watching other NFL games, particularly Atlanta and St. Louis. This is the Oakland Coliseum, the Raiders' first offensive effort of the day. 3 wide receivers, no score. It's 3rd and 6. Hostetler back to throw it. Chased into the pocket by Colbert. Knocked down by Brock Marion. Darrell Hobbs, the intended receiver.
I think one thing, the Cowboys changed up their coverage there, Pat, a little. Deion Sanders was out here on Darrell Hobbs, but he wasn't playing man-to-man. This is a zone defense. You're going to see Brock Marion, the safety, just come over the top and get that left hand in there and knock the ball away.
Well, of course, they came under all kind of heat, particularly in Dallas last week after the 49er game, for not being willing to adjust their coverage. Kevin Williams back deep.
Now for a trip.
Fake to Sanders. Williams from behind. Bruce Pickens from behind. He had something going if Bruce didn't make that play. No score as Dallas heads out on the field for their first offensive possession.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Dockers Flat Front Khakis, proud makers of nice pants. By American Express. By Hertz, for business, for pleasure. Nobody does it exactly like Hertz. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Oakland's first offensive possession unrewarded. They had to punt. They got a holding penalty mixed in. Troy Aikman will lead the Dallas offense, playing with a bad left knee, but playing. If you're going to play quarterback, I heard you say last night, and we were talking last night, if you're going to play quarterback in this league and not miss any games, you're going to have to play hurt.
Yeah, and
the officials do too, I guess.
Yeah, but you know, and the great ones do. I mean, there's no way that these quarterbacks can take the pounding that they have to take and then miss games.
Well, while we have a moment, let's check out the lineups. Aikman, as we said, the quarterback. The book on him up front, that massive offensive line. Tuane Newton Donaldson playing. Larry Allen and Eric Williams. Emmitt Smith, Darrell Johnston. Kevin Williams, Michael Irvin wide. Jay Novacek, the tight end. Dallas will take over 1st and 10 at their own 35.
And the officials are going one short. That is Tom Barnes they're working on now. So they'll be working one short until they can get him ready to go again.
Howard Rowe is the referee. Novacek was on the move. Aikman back to throw it. Swings it out to Emmitt Smith, incomplete. Let's have a look at the Oakland defense. They're playing very well. Jerry Ball and Chester McLaughlin in the middle. Anthony Smith and Pat Swilling wide. Jones, Beekert, good young linebackers. Fredrickson. Secondary, Albert Lewis, Eddie Anderson back. Derek Hoskins and Terry McDaniel. 2nd and 10. Johnston and Smith behind Aikman. To Emmitt Smith. Nothing doing. A loss of about 4. Rob Fredrickson.
You know, one thing about this field, Pat, I played here for so many years, the field is below sea level, so it's always going to be wet and heavy. The Cowboys have just figured that out. So what happens, you have to put on a longer cleat. And I think on the Cowboys sideline, they don't know that. They're figuring it out now, or their defense has, and I think we're going to see that all day.
3rd and 15. Smith lost 5. Aikman back to throw. Blitz coming. Aikman going deep to Irvin. Incomplete. Terry McDaniel with him stride for stride.
That's one thing that the Raiders have. They have great corners. Terry McDaniel is a great corner. He didn't get a bump. He just runs all the way with Michael Irvin. In fact, the way Michael Irvin looks here at the end, he thinks that Terry McDaniel intercepts that ball. In fact, it was in Terry McDaniel's hands more than it was Michael Irvin's hands. They are going to be tough to beat anywhere, let alone deep, these two Raider corners.
John Chip back to punt it. Tim Brown, dangerous, back to return it. He's out of the pack is Tim Brown. Here comes Jet over. Made him cut back. Back at the Oakland Coliseum. Pat Summerall, John Madden, sold out. Packed house, in fact, for the Cowboys visit. 3 wide receivers for the Raiders. 1st and 10 in Dallas territory. Ostetler on the reverse to Ismail. Slipped down at the 30, a flag on the play.
There's a penalty flag at the 37-yard line.
Scott Case.
You know,
involved in a little fracas at the end. I'm sorry.
One of the things that Mike White, when he took over as head coach of the Oakland Raiders, one thing he wanted to eliminate was penalties. And early they kind of did, but they're coming back, and that's still one of the big problems with this Raider team.
Howard Rowe.
Holding. Number 81 on the offense.
Tim Brown.
10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
We're still an official short.
Yeah, that's Tom Barnes. And you see, there are 7 officials. And Tom Barnes was a line judge, so he would have been in this position here.
Spotting the ball, 1st down, 8 yards to the.
And we'll see what adjustment they make. 1st and 8.
They just don't have anyone in his position
That's right
now.
That's right. The handoff is to Harvey Williams, and Harvey Williams near a 1st down, a fumble. They're saying he was down.
Well, we were talking about, who has confidence and who doesn't. And I'll tell you, sometimes a big play like that, a turnover or not, will give you confidence.
Uninjured Raider Tim Brown. They signaled very quickly. The players did.
Tim Brown was shaken up on the play.
Yes,
See what happened.
Kevin Gogan right away. You see Tim Brown. The fumble happened right in front of him. Tim Brown got hit by his own guy.
Got his knee hung in that pile, I think.
That's the good news is he pulled both feet out of the ground. I don't know when that ball came out of there, though. The official pointed to the ground, saying that the whistle blew before the ball came out.
And Williams got enough for a 1st down. There's Brown at the top of the picture.
Yeah, and you'll see here when the ball comes out, he was down. And, of course, it's when that whistle blows, too.
Doesn't look any injury you wonder about, and you hope for the best. It doesn't look too bad. I hate to make a judgment, but I just did.
And you can just tell the way he's looking, and he feels pretty good about it. And I think the good sign is, like I said, is at the end when you saw both of his feet come up out of the ground, because when a guy really gets a knee is when one of those feet are planted in the ground.
With those long cleats.
And I'll tell you, this grass and this soft grass like this is the safest playing surface in the world.
Here's Hostetler going deep. Overthrows James Jett. And right now for a McDonald's game break, let's return to our James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
All right, Pat, take a look at Chris Carter, second from the bottom of the screen, works his way behind blown coverage. Warren Moon all day finds him at the back of the end zone. Vikings on top, 7-0. Don't forget, Thanksgiving Day, the Vikings will be taking on the Lions. Pre-game coverage starts at 12 noon Eastern right here on Fox. Back to Pat and John.
JB, we won't forget because we'll be there. Thanksgiving Day.
How can you forget football and Thanksgiving and turkey and all the things that goes with it? The injured player is Alundis Bryce. Right. He's the rookie that started in place of Larry Brown. Larry Brown's son passed away this week. And they had the funeral yesterday. Larry Brown missed most of the practice, so he didn't start. They started Alundis Bryce. Larry Brown got into town last night. He came in on Jerry Jones's jet and got in about 10 o'clock last night. Really didn't practice all this week or meet with a team. So, you know, he's probably as unprepared to play a game as you can.
But he's going to have to play, it looks like. Alundis Bryce didn't get hit. Just something got stuck. And I don't know if he's okay or not. That may be something that lasts a while.
Yeah, in fact, Larry Brown's son was named Christopher Brown. He was born prematurely and passed away this week. And all the Dallas Cowboy players are wearing KB on their helmets for Christopher Brown.
The handoff is to Derek Finner.
Handoff to Derek Finner.
There, the KB on the back of the helmets of the Dallas Cowboys. That's Deion Sanders, of course.
So Larry Brown.
And there is Larry Brown.
And he has really been through it. I mean, Larry Brown is a real pro and a competitor. And Christopher Brown was born, you know, premature and like 1 pound.
1 pound.
And was fighting for his life, all of his life. And
3 wide receivers for the Raiders. Wide open is Darryl Hobbs. Will get a first down.
I think that's what the Raiders are trying to do. They're trying to figure out where Deion is going to play and then run him out of an area and then come across and work those zones, work those underneath guys. And you see, they just crossed on that one. Hobbs was the second guy crossing. Now, you see, when you come on a cross, those underneath guys have to figure out what they're going to do. They have to redirect. They redirected one, but they didn't redirect Hobbs.
Harvey Williams. On first down, sweeps right, gets about 5.
Well, you talk about a guy who's having a big year, who's really made a difference in this Oakland Raider team. It's Harvey Williams. And the way that, you know, he is running with the ball, you see he's already gained 767 yards. He's averaged 4.6 yards per carry, scored 8 touchdowns. And I think the combination of Harvey Williams along with this big offensive line have really helped this offense of the Raiders.
Robert Jones injured on the last play, down and being checked.
Yeah, this has been Robert Jones looks like it's that groin area. You know, one thing, I said that this is a safe field. It is, because it's very heavy and it's a little slick. Now, one thing, when it is slick, your cleats aren't going to stay in the ground. And sometimes when they do come out of the ground, the area that you do injure is that groin area. So you'll have more groin pulls on a field like this, but I think you have less of the serious type, you know, knee injuries, ankle injuries, those types of things.
Robert Jones is the guy you don't think about being hurt for some reason, because he's been so durable since he's been the middle linebacker and played just every down that they've asked him to play.
So on this drive, the Cowboys have lost Alundis Bryce, their starting corner today, and Robert Jones, their starting middle linebacker today.
2nd and 5. two tight ends. Harvey Williams hammers down to about the 15 for another Raider first down.
You see, he gets right in there behind big old Kevin Gogan. Remember Kevin Gogan, 6'7", 330-pound right guard, number 66. You see, he's going to get right in there behind that right side. You see, scrapping that Gogan. Gogan starts off in a double team, gets up, gets that linebacker, and that gives that soft spot for Harvey Williams.
Godfrey Miles. Raiders come out of the huddle quickly. If they do go into the huddle, they're going to use some no huddle. They've already said Godfrey Miles has taken the place of Robert Jones in the middle. Williams hit right at the line of scrimmage. It was not a first down. He missed it by about a foot, and he might have missed it again.
I don't know. This is a one that you spot. All he has to do is get to that white line. See if he gets the white line. Yep, he got over the white line, so he got the first down. And again, they go to that right side behind Grabe Skreklinuk and Kevin Gogan. Good blocking tight ends the Raiders have. Big offensive line. Like I said earlier, they trained in Austin, Texas with the Cowboys for a week and played them in preseason. And they felt confident coming into this game that both their lines, offense and defense, matched up well with this Cowboy team.
Hostetler to Williams. A couple. As he ducked underneath Tony Tolbert. One thing I remember when the workouts were going on against each other, almost every one of the Cowboys were impressed, not just with the physical ability of the Raiders, but how big they were. And they do match up very well.
Yeah, and they're big and they're strong, and they have that combination inside. Then the other combination they have is that outside receiver speed, and then that outside speed on the defensive corners.
2nd and 9. Tim Brown back in the game. Will be playing the pattern incomplete. Intended for Hobbs, behind him just a bit.
And you know what's important with this first quarter for the Raiders is, as I said earlier, I think that Jeff Hostetler's left shoulder is really bothering him. We know that he has a broken hand. That whole left side of his body. This year he's had a throat, a left shoulder, and a left hand, and it really is bothering him. But one thing, the Cowboys haven't knocked him down yet. And you have to give that the pass protection. See that thing he's wearing on his hand? See, he has a hard thing on the outside of the hand and a soft thing on the inside and a glove and tape and everything.
Play number 11 of this drive coming up. Hostetler to throw it. Incomplete. In the direction of Brown. They will have to settle for 3. Jeff Jager, who was hurt earlier in the year, back 100% now.
You can just see Barry Switzer there feeling like they just dodged a bullet.
Gossett is the holder.
Mike White's thinking that when you get down there, you have to get it in the end zone. You can't use a lot of threes when you play an explosive team like the Dallas Cowboys.
This will be 31 yards away. And the field goal is pulled. Not good. The worst case is you get nothing.
He really dodged it.
0-0 score as the Cowboys take over.
Ladies and gentlemen, next Monday night.
0-0 at the Oakland Coliseum, Oakland, California, the home of the Raiders. As you could see at the top of that picture just a moment ago, it's going to be improved, enlarged. It'll have eventually a seating capacity of over 60,000. Aikman back to throw on first down. Down he goes, and he can't take too many of those. Anthony Smith.
Now there's an interesting story, Anthony Smith. Now you're going to see Anthony Smith down here, and he's down in the bottom. He's working against Mark Tuinei. He starts in, gets his hands up, and then when Aikman steps up, he just comes underneath Tuinei.
Actually, protection was not that bad.
It wasn't bad. But you see, you have a big guy in the middle. You have Chester McLaughlin and Jerry Ball there, where it's hard to step up because they're all going to be there.
Emmitt Smith. Right side, not much.
I was saying that Anthony Smith was an interesting story, Pat, as he practiced on Wednesday, came to a meeting Thursday morning, then left, and they didn't find him. And they got here last night. He wasn't there Friday. He wasn't there yesterday. The team flew up last night. No Anthony Smith. We talked to Mike White. He said he left Thursday. We don't know where he is. We haven't heard from him, and no one knows where he is. And he showed up this morning, and now he's starting.
Now he gets the first sack. Aikman to throw. Irvin. No. But a flag. A flag on the play.
One thing the Cowboys are trying to do, and I know Ernie Zampese, is you want to loosen up this defense. You don't want them to gang up on you and you run. You want to be able to run, but in order to be able to run, you have to loosen up the defense. You have to go deep.
And in order to go deep, you have to protect your quarterback. And that protection was good.
Well, the officials are talking this one over, and it looked like one of the Raiders was signaling that the ball was tipped. Of course, if it's tipped at or around the line of scrimmage or tipped before it gets to the receiver, there can be no pass interference.
But the Raiders.
There was no tip.
I don't see how it could be tipped back by the line of scrimmage.
Not on a ball like that. The Raiders got one like that last week. I don't know where the interference is, though.
I don't either.
I mean, that looks like pretty good defense by Albert Lewis. I mean, you have to. He's looking at the ball. He's going for the ball. The ball's thrown a little short, so there's going to be some contact. But like I say, if a corner can't do that, if a cover guy can't do that, he can't play. And Albert Lewis has been playing in this league for 13 years. I don't know about that one. I think that was a break that the Cowboys were looking for to change some field position here.
Well, they got it and got the field position changed there at the Oakland 47-yard line.
And you know, the thing that probably got it, Pat, was the fact that the ball was thrown a little short. And then when they both went up for it, there was some contact. But on a short pass, there's always going to be contact.
Deion Sanders lined up on offense. And on the left side, Aikman gives to Smith. He gets only a couple. Jerry Ball.
You know, Jerry Jones had said that maybe the Cowboys ought to use Deion Sanders primarily on offense and then just use him for third down on defense.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen either. Deion Sanders is too good a defensive player, but Jerry Jones has $35 million invested in that deal, and he wants to see a little more of it. Deion Sanders on that last play was a decoy.
Darrell Johnston was the man in motion, and here's Aikman back to throw. Outside Smith. Emmett put one man on the ground with a juke. Greg Biekert took the bite.
And I'll tell you, Chester McLaughlin put Troy Aikman on the ground. I think that's going to be a test right here. You're going to see number 91, Chester McLaughlin, come. Watch Aikman throw the ball, and just as he throws the ball, Chester McLaughlin hit him and put him down.
And Emmitt Smith turned that pass reception into a first down.
Chester McLaughlin is 91. He's working against Larry Allen. You see as he throws there, that's the type of thing the Raiders want to do to Troy Aikman.
Emmitt Smith flashes through the left side, a hold down to about the 23. Stopped by Eddie Anderson.
You know, Jimmy Johnson used to always talk about playmakers, that you have to have playmakers and you have to have momentum changers. And I think that, you know, that Emmitt Smith is a guy that can do both. He's a playmaker who can change momentum. And maybe in this drive, from here on to the goal line, they may just feed the ball to him.
I don't think that'd be a mistake.
Me neither.
Emmitt Smith. Inside the 15, about the 17, Rob Fredrickson made the stop, along with Anthony Smith.
Because then they could use that big offensive line. Again, that's a heck of a matchup. I mean, you have Nate Newton going against there. Mark Tuinei, they're going against these big guys. You're going to see they're going to run to the left side here. The blitz is to the right side. I think that Emmitt Smith just sees it and figures, I'm not going to cut back in there because the blitz is away from where I'm going.
And he got the good lead block from Darrell Johnson.
Always does.
Yes, he does. 1st and 10, Dallas. Inside the Raider 20, Aikman back to throw. Protection, touchdown. Aikman to Irvin. 17 yards.
That's what the Cowboys needed to get their confidence back. Michael Irvin running a post pattern out there on Terry McDaniel. Again, I said that Terry McDaniel, one of the best corners in football, but Michael Irvin also one of the best receivers in football.
Aikman just barely got rid of the ball.
Yeah, but he made a perfect throw there.
Yes, he did.
I tell you, and that was a good pattern by Michael Irvin because he really beat Terry McDaniel.
Boniol's extra point is good. Irvin is the first Cowboy wide receiver ever to accumulate 8,000 yards. With that, he has 8,012. That was a 17-yard touchdown. Michael Irvin, who just put the Cowboys ahead, and that's what I was telling you about a minute ago. 8,012 receiving yards. He's the first Cowboy receiver ever to have more than 8,000. Talking with his receiver coach Herbert Alexander.
And you know, I still think he's unhappy about last week's game against the 49ers. That one really knocked the heck out of all the Cowboys, but I think Michael Irvin probably took it harder, longer than anyone else.
Napoleon Kaufman. Dragged down by Robert Bailey.
Let's watch this move here, Pat, of Michael Irvin. See, he's on Terry McDaniel, and right there, you see how he gets him going outside there? And you see what Terry McDaniel does? Just enough there to hold him right there. That lets him get to the inside and get that post pattern. But those couple steps out, that put McDaniel a couple steps out, and he kind of squatted down there. And then when he did, Michael Irvin was able to take that inside, and Troy Aikman made a perfect throw to him.
They took advantage of the fact that it was only McDaniel. He was not doubled.
No, and he made that move. And when McDaniel just held up just long enough on that outside move.
Hostetler going deep. Picked off by Deion Sanders. And Sanders back inside the Raider 40 to the 30. Out of bounds at about the 28. Ishmael knocked him out of bounds.
Jerry Jones is saying that's what he paid him $35 million for. We were talking about momentum. We were talking about big game players. We were talking about playmakers. We said Emmitt Smith was one. We know that Michael Irvin is one, and Deion Sanders is one. Because, you know, he had a step on him. I mean, he was beaten by a step, but there's probably no faster player in the NFL than Deion Sanders. And I'll tell you, he has great catch-up speed. Just watch him here. I mean, he's there. You see, right there, he's a few steps behind, but by the time the ball gets there, he's right there with the ball.
And letting you know he's got it. 1st and 10 at the Oakland 30. Kevin Williams in motion. Aikman, Novacek. About 8. Mike Jones knocked him out of bounds. There's Deion. They say, the Cowboys do, that he physically is the best he's been so far since he's been with the team.
Yeah, because, you know, he had that ankle injury, and then he had surgery. He came off that. He pulled a hamstring, and the hamstring is kind of coming along. But when you talk about cover corner, guys just covering receivers, I don't think there's ever been anyone better than Deion Sanders.
2 tight ends, Emmitt Smith. 1st down inside the 15 for Dallas.
And now we're seeing what we were talking about. We're talking about the playmakers that change momentum. And we saw it right there. We saw, I think, that Emmitt Smith started it with his running. Then it went to Michael Irvin with his pass pattern. And then it went to this guy, Deion Sanders.
1st and 10 at about the 14-yard line. 2 tight ends again. Aikman back to throw it. Emmitt Smith makes the reception. He can make you miss. He gets the first down.
The one thing that Emmitt Smith really hasn't done yet is being able to work that middle. You know, he's gotten off tackle, and they're able to get the ball outside. It's hard for Emmitt Smith to run to the outside. But if you want to get Emmitt Smith to the outside, you have to throw him these little patterns, these little loop patterns. That is in lieu of a run to the outside.
And once you get him out there, he'll leave some guys picking grass.
You better have him very close to the sideline like the Raiders did on that play.
Here's Emmitt again. He was able to find some picking room, I guess you'd have to call it, straight ahead and to the right.
Yeah. Right now, this offensive line of the Cowboys is winning that battle of the line. And you see, this is what Emmitt Smith looks at. He's going to get the ball here. He feels a block there. Then out of his periphery, he's able to look back to that side and know that he can get 2 or 3 more yards. That's not a big deal when you have to check and go back into Chester McLaughlin, though.
But they knocked Chester backwards.
They sure did. They got movement on him, and that doesn't happen a lot.
No. 2nd and 2. Smith burrows down to about the 3. Maybe not enough for a first. One of the things that great runners have, like Emmitt Smith, is that tremendous vision you were talking about.
I think it's that combination of the vision and balance and strength and power, and number 22 has them all.
And an immense will to win. That helps.
Interesting, Pat. They were working on Emmitt Smith's cleats way back here on the other 40-yard line. In fact, right now, he's still about 30 yards away from the huddle. Yeah, I think the thing that you always have to worry about is your shoes being tied,
yeah,
your cleats, and you don't want to be stepping on things that don't work. And if you're Emmitt Smith and your shoe unties or something doesn't work, you can just call a guy out and say, hey, bring some stuff out here and let me clean my shoes off and have someone tie these things for me. Because I think, we know that he has to have everything ready to go because the Cowboys are inside the 5-yard line, and you're going to get a heavy dose of Emmitt Smith in this area, or at least faking to Emmitt Smith.
1st and goal at the 4. And it's Emmitt Smith.
Well, whatever they did, it worked on those shoes. Or maybe it's the feet that's in the shoes or the body that's on top of the feet.
I think that has something to do with it.
They had 9 carries so far, 30 yards and a touchdown, and the Cowboys have really gotten the confidence. The things we talked about, the confidence and all those things, momentum. The Cowboys really have it now. And you notice how quiet this crowd is?
Yep. 18 touchdowns rushing for Emmitt Smith is more than any NFL team. And he's approaching the touchdowns in a year record. O'Neill's extra point is good. It's a good run. 14-0 Cowboys.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Saturn, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. By Denerex with conditioners, the serious dandruff shampoo. By Canon, we have the systems that are the solution. And by Splitfire, the patented performance spark plug.
The MetLife blimp Snoopy 2 is cruising the skies above Oakland, California. Very clear skies now. It was foggy this morning. The MetLife blimp contains 70,000 cubic feet of helium. It measures almost 50 yards in length. Nice to have him with us. Ismail, flag on the play. From across the field.
Yeah, the official threw it once, and then he went in and picked it up, and he threw it again to get it closer to the players because he was a deep guy. It's Ron Botchin, matter of fact, but he saw a holding from about 40 yards away.
It was 2 penalty flag throws away, at least, and he still didn't get it there.
No. I remember Ron Botcha when he was a coach.
Number 53.
Where'd he coach?
On the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
He coached junior college down in Los Angeles, and even before that, I remember Ron Botchin when he played. He played for the Chargers. Yeah, that's a big thing that, we talked about Mike White and the Raiders and what they wanted to avoid, not only today, but all season, and they haven't been able to.
Harvey Williams, nothing doing. Now for our McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in Hollywood.
Pat, Warren Moon turned 39 yesterday, celebrating nicely today. Here tossing his second touchdown of the afternoon. This one to Amp Lee, and the Vikings are leading 17-0 over the Saints in the second. Back to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Back at the sold-out Oakland Coliseum, Raider ball, 2nd and 8. 3 wide receivers. Williams, not much. Godfrey Miles made the stop. Robert Jones injured earlier.
The
Miles
Raiders
taking his place.
I was just going to say, Pat, the Raiders script their first 15 plays, like a lot of teams do, and you can see what they were. They had 7 runs and 8 passes, and they kind of want to see how the Cowboys are playing, specifically where Dion is playing and what he's doing, then set their game plan from there. And part of that game plan, they want to include some no huddle.
The answer is right now they're all playing pretty well. Here's Hostetler back to throw it. Delayed blitz. Tim Brown. Darren Smith came on a delayed blitz, and he got caught in between Brock Marion, knocked Tim Brown out of bounds.
Yeah, that was one of those zone blitzes where they bring the defensive tackle out. You'll see right here, they take the tackle and they start him rushing, and then they bring him back. In fact, they brought both tackles out. They got them deep. So that's where you can rush and still play zone.
And here's the no huddle. Napoleon Kaufman is deep, and he gets the carry. It gets a couple. Hervin McCormick is playing in the middle now in place of Chad Hennings.
Yeah, and that was Hervin McCormick that dropped out of there on that last play with Russell Maryland. That's the thing we're seeing a lot in the National Football League now, where it used to be when you blitz or you bring more than 4, you had to play man-to-man. Now you can bring more than 4 and drop the lineman out and still play zone. So they're calling those zone blitzes.
2nd down, about 8. Here's Hostetler. Complete to Andrew Glover. The protection was good. Gave Hostetler a chance to look around.
Yeah, and if you're going to have good protection, you got to block that guy, Charles Haley. You see, that's Robert Jenkins on him. But the big thing is the help from the running back, Napoleon Kaufman. See, that's what they want to do. They want to chip him. Now Haley is working there against Jenkins. And here comes Napoleon Kaufman, and he unloaded against Haley.
If that's a chip, I'd hate to see a chop. That's Kaufman. And he almost broke it. Inside the 30, down to about the 28. The last man, Larry Brown, made the stop.
This is an exciting football player, and he's not just a roll guy either. He's not one of those guys you just put in on 3rd down. He's a Raiders #1 draft choice this year, and he's a complete package. The play before, we saw him block Charles Haley, and that play we saw him run off tackle like a power running back.
Run through some tackles.
And we know that he can run around a lot of tackles.
1st and 10 Raiders. Hostetler back to Kaufman again. And again, he's around the corner. And spinning inside the 20 to about the 17. Stopped by Darren Smith.
And this is a big guy. You look at Napoleon Kaufman, he's only 5'9", 180. You're saying, geez, there's not much to him, but look at those arms. See those arms and the legs. I mean, he is a short guy, but he is a powerful man. He is well built, and he knows how to use his body and his power. Hey, he's something. I mean, he's not a role player. I mean, he plays first down, second down, third down, run inside, outside. A great change of pace with Harvey Williams.
1st and 10, Oakland. Derek Finner. Stopped by Darren Smith.
Now you can see Robert Jenkins, the left tackle, starting to have trouble with that knee. He has bad knees. He starts every week, but he can only play until the knees don't allow him anymore. Maybe it's a quarter, maybe it's 2 quarters, maybe it's 3 quarters.
He just gets tired.
Yeah, you can just see he had a hard time getting up when he went down to the ground after that last play.
2nd and 6. Kaufman is deep. Back to Napoleon Kaufman. He can get around the corner. Gets down to about the 10. Did not get a first down. Stopped by Alundis Bryce.
Yeah, it's such a great change of pace because you get Harvey Williams and he can run the ball inside or outside, but he's not as fast. Then you put Napoleon Kaufman in there, and now you got the speed. I mean, you know, those 2 backs together are a heck of a combination. You know where he's from? He's from Lompoc, California. That's about halfway between here and Los Angeles. One of the first places they shot missiles out of, Vandenberg Air Force Base. I used to coach down in that area.
Napoleon Kaufman again inside the 10. The Cowboys had a shot at him in the backfield. He cut back. Jim Swans. Darren Woodson converged to bring him down.
And that's where we're talking about Napoleon Kaufman being an every down back. He's coming out now, but he did his job. I mean, we talk about, players and make plays. We talk about guys that can change momentum. The Raiders put Napoleon Kaufman in there, and he made plays and got the momentum back in the Raiders' favor.
Williams has replaced him now. It's 4th and 1. Hostetler says, I don't like what I see, and called a timeout. That's the Raiders' first. They'll have 2 left. 14-0 Dallas. Back at the Oakland Coliseum, Pat Summerall with John Madden, who was given a hero's welcome when we arrived this morning. Deservedly so. 2 tight ends for the Raiders. 4th and 1. Harvey Williams is deep. Finner in front of him. Got the first.
I was going to say that would have been a great place for a play pass. Yeah, I think they would have just walked one in there. The Cowboys, were up there. They were playing that 4th down run, and if you would have just faked to Harvey Williams, I think it would have been a real easy touchdown.
That's Mike White.
Of course, that's a lot easier for me to say up here than it was when I was down there in those sidelines.
That's one of the reasons you went up here, right?
Although I did like in this, I used to have a play. I know what the play would be. I'd call fake trap 32 bootleg left U corner. That's what I would have called. But then I had Kenny Stabler, bootlegging to the left, and Dave Casper running the corner, and that wouldn't have been a bad combination.
Would you have called a timeout?
No, I wouldn't have called a timeout. I would have just automatically called the play.
And Stabler knew that.
I always wanted to save timeouts until the last 2 minutes of the half and the last 2 minutes of the game. I'd rather do anything. I'd rather sometimes take a penalty than use a timeout before the end of the half or the end of the game. Barry Switzer can feel. We were talking about momentum and how the Cowboys got it, and then how the Raiders, Napoleon Kaufman came in and really changed it.
The Raiders go 3 wide receivers. Hostetler gives to Williams. The play looked like almost a busted play, but it's a touchdown for the Oakland Raiders. 7 yards away from Harvey Williams.
Harvey Williams right here. You see him here. He's the only back in the backfield, and it's a form of a counter tray.
Exactly.
But he's on the same side that the counter is going to come from because the blocker. I think it's against the Cowboys. I mean, was there any taunting or there's a lot of talk going on in this thing. What do they call it? Trash talk?
Trash talk, yeah.
The officials aren't trash talking. Dion's down there in the middle of it.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, I'm sure.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on number 25 on a defense. Will penalize 15 yards on a kickoff. Touchdown.
There's Al Davis looking on.
Number 25 was Scott Case.
Yep. Jaeger for the extra point. Gossett holding. And it's 14-7. It is a form of the old counter tray.
Yep, you see he pulls the off guard and the tight end. He has to start to the middle, wait for the offside blockers to get there, and then he just follows them in. And there's that Neil Smith swing. Remember Neil Smith, Kansas City Chiefs? They were teammates at one time.
All right, Aflac trivia question. How many Hall of Fame inductees is Al Davis presented, and who were they? Dion deep, but they'll be kicking off from the 45, so there should be no return, and there isn't. It's out of the end zone.
Yeah, you talk about momentum changers and things that you could have done. That wouldn't have been a bad time for an onside kick, because Scott Case was penalized, so they got 15 yards that go on the kick. So you're kicking the ball off from the 45. And even if you tried an onside kick and they got it, it still wouldn't be terrible field position. But it didn't look like the Raiders even considered that. They said, heck with it, just kick it away and we'll just stay where we are and stay down by 7 points because we have plenty of time to work on this one. This is an all-day sucker between these two.
Yes, it is. First and 10 Dallas from their own 20. They lead 14-7, 7:50 left in the second quarter. Darrell Johnston was the man in motion. Aikman slipped, dropping. Gets it to Irvin. First down. Good throw. Good pattern. The Aflac trivia question again. How many Hall of Fame inductees has Al Davis presented, and who were they? 8 of them. Lance Allworth, Jim Otto, George Blanda, Willie Brown, Gene Upshaw, Fred Biletnikoff, who's on the coaching staff, Art Shell, and Ted Hendricks.
And, of course, in addition to that, Al Davis himself is in the Hall of Fame.
And you inducted him, didn't you? Or presented him?
Presented him, yes.
That's Darrell Johnston. One-man screen, it looked like.
Yep, they even have the Moose call here. Did you hear that? I didn't think there'd be many Cowboy fans here at the Oakland Coliseum.
There aren't.
No, when the Moose gets the ball, though, they still give that Moose call. You know, last week I was in Dallas, Pat, and I was interviewed by Mrs. Moose.
Mrs. Moose?
Mrs. Moose, yeah. Darrell Johnston's mother, Mrs. Moose. And she has like a...
Mama Moose.
Mama Moose. I don't think she'd like being... Well, she's...
Yeah.
Darrell Johnston's Mama Moose, yeah. And she has a letter she puts out, and we had an in-depth interview.
Here's Emmitt Smith.
And she's really nice. And then I went outside, and then as we went outside the locker room, then Mr. Moose was waiting for us. So Mrs. Moose and Mr. Moose got in the car, and they left. And then Moose the next day thanked me for being. I said I enjoyed it. That was my pleasure being interviewed by Mrs. Moose.
In depth, huh?
In depth interview. Yeah, I mean it was a sit down, long talk. She had the questions written out, and the answers, and I gave the answers. And
well, I interviewed the real Moose last week, and he's a nice guy too.
Who's the real Moose?
Well, that's number 48.
Oh, him. No, I'm talking about his mother and dad.
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about.
But if it weren't for Mr. and Mrs. Moose, there wouldn't be no real Moose.
I think you're probably right.
Prior to the snap, we got a false start on number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty.
False start on
Repeat first
Larry
down.
Allen.
Yeah, here's Larry Allen right here. He's a second-year guy who's having a heck of a year. You see, he just got off there a little early, but he's from Sonoma State.
Yeah.
It's not far. It's only about 50 miles from here. And I think that he's turning into one of the best guards in the league. In fact, if I had to pick one and say who's the best guard in the league, I might take Larry Allen.
You remember he spent all of last year at tackle. Here's Emmett Smith.
And he ran right in behind Larry Allen. And Larry Allen caused that hole for him. In fact, he got a couple blocks. See, this is what a lineman does. You start off, here's Larry Allen, number 73, right here. Now you start and you get one, boom, you help him, you get that guy to the ground, then you come up on the next guy. And that's the hole. That started the hole because they got that movement on Chester McLaughlin. They had to do that first. Larry Allen did that. And then after he got that done with his left shoulder, he takes his right shoulder, boom, goes up in the linebacker.
Second down. Aikman back to throw. To Urban. And he'll have his first down. Terry McDaniel on the coverage. You know, you're talking about Larry Allen. Assistant coaches, I don't think, get nearly enough credit. Well, go ahead.
Here again, I think that Michael Irvin is really working Terry McDaniel out here. I think he has his number.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
He has Terry McDaniel turned about every way you can go. Michael Irvin knows it, and more importantly, Troy Aikman knows it because he was watching Michael Irvin all the way.
They got the first down, and they give the ball to Emmett Smith, and he gets only a couple of flag on the play. Chester McLaughlin made the tackle. I just started to say I don't think assistant coaches get enough credit, but the guy who coaches this Dallas offensive line, I think, is one of the best in the business, Hudson Houck.
And I agree with that. I've known Hudson Houck for years. In fact, we were talking yesterday that
Offsides. Number 93 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Jerry Ball.
But Hudson Houck was coaching up here at Stanford. John Robinson was coaching with me, and he got the job at USC. And Hudson Houck was interviewed here by John Robinson to coach with him the next year at USC.
And you're still mad at Robinson.
Yeah, I am for doing that.
Aikman, Irvin at the 23 of Oakland.
And you see what they just took Terry McDaniel over on the other side. Michael Irvin over on this side now, again working against Terry McDaniel, who's off, and he just runs it out there. And it looks like every time Michael Irvin makes a cut, Terry McDaniel slips. And you'd think it should be the opposite,
right,
that Michael Irvin, not knowing this field, ought to be the guy that is slipping. But that's the third or fourth time that Terry McDaniel has slipped in this first half.
With that catch, Michael Irvin just set another new Cowboy record. Here's Emmett Smith left side, and he is hammered, and the ball came loose, and the Raiders got it. Anthony Smith. Whoa, was Irvin. Emmett Smith was belted.
Anthony Smith was the guy that was at practice Wednesday, at the meeting Thursday. They couldn't find until this morning, and he comes up with his second big play in this half.
Smith really took a hit, and the ball came flying out.
Here's Emmett Smith. You're going to see Derek Hoskins comes in right there, and he really unloads on Emmett Smith. And when he unloaded on with everything he had, the ball just jolted right out of there.
And the Raiders take over. 1st and 10 at their own 13. The pitch is back to Harvey Williams, who slipped and got back up and got about 5 yards. Our information is that safety man Eddie Anderson re-aggravated a hamstring pull and will not be back.
And Joe King is in for him, has been in for him. And again, Derek Hoskins is a strong safety, the opposite safety from Eddie Anderson, who made that great hit there.
2 tight ends, Williams deep. Hostetler hit by Hennings. just as he let it go. That might have been a lateral.
I didn't hear a whistle. I didn't hear a whistle until right then. I did see the referee throw a flag, but I didn't hear a whistle. And the only thing that stops play is a whistle.
I think this is a lateral.
I think so, too, because no one blew the whistle. I mean, they may have to go and talk about this. This is going to be a conference. Remember, there's only 6 officials out there. 1 official was injured, so they're working 1 man short on the officiating crew. But no one blew a whistle on that play. Again, you see where Jeff Hostetler is. He's on the 10-yard line. He throws it out there, and if he throws it behind that yard line, that is a lateral. And we'll look at it from this angle. If the ball comes out and he throws it behind, and he does throw it behind, that is a lateral, and a lateral can be picked up.
A live ball. The flag, I think, had to be for intentional grounding.
Yeah, and the flag doesn't stop the play.
No.
After a conference on the field, there is no intentional grounding. The ruling is a backward pass and out of bounds. 3rd down.
So it was a backward pass.
It was a lateral.
Yeah, it was a lateral, but the Cowboys didn't pick it up, so the ball went out of bounds. So no one got control of that backward pass or lateral until the ball got out of bounds, or after the ball got out of bounds.
The last person to have control, of course, was Hostetler.
Again, and you're going to see that ball come out. Now, it's a lateral. Now, the Cowboys can pick this up if they can get to it before it gets out of bounds. Nope, they just knocked it out of bounds. No one had control before the ball goes out of bounds. So the ball should be spotted at the point it went out of bounds.
Right.
Raiders ball.
That should be 3rd down. They're still in another conference. Alundis Bryce.
Again, being a rookie, Alundis Bryce, you wonder if he knows the rule that is a live ball and that he could have recovered it.
Tim Brown took off after it. He knew.
Alundis Bryce looked like he was trying to defend against Tim Brown rather than go for it himself. Because, again, if he would have picked that up, that would have been the Cowboys' ball right there.
Now, well, they've done exactly what you said. They moved it back to where it went out of bounds. 3rd and 19 for the Raiders back there. 2:53 left to play in the first half. 2:50 call it. 3rd down. Long in count. Hostetler in the end zone. Haley almost had him. Pass is incomplete. A flag on the play. Deion Sanders was the cover man. James Jett, the intended receiver. Haley just missed. Back in the end zone.
James Jett, of course, the fastest of the Raiders. Deion Sanders, the fastest of the Cowboys. That was a track meet going down the sideline.
And it's against Deion. That'll get him out of the hole.
You see James Jett there. Deion Sanders has the hand on him right there. You see the hand on his right arm holding him back. Deion's left arm. That's what they call pass interference. And again, he's getting that hand up there, right there. He has it in again. I'll tell you, that's touchy, but that is pass interference by definition.
That's a good call. 1st and 10. The Raiders, 3 wide receivers. They operate from their own 33. That's Kaufman. Big hole up the middle. And Kaufman gets through it in a hurry.
I really like this Napoleon Kaufman.
Yeah.
Because we saw him make a heck of a block on Charles Haley. We saw him run to the outside, and on that play, he just runs this thing right up the middle. Just watch it. This isn't going inside or outside or anything. This is just coming straight up the middle. He has about 5 moves while he's doing it, but he is a quick, powerful little guy.
Well, Mike White was very emphatic last night when he was talking to us that we don't change our philosophy just because it's Napoleon Kaufman.
Well, I think when you see 5'9", 180, you think Dave Meggett type guy, you think Dexter Carter type, you think Kaufman is not a role player. He is an every down player. Look at the arms on that guy.
Yeah,
if you
that's
have
what I
arms like that, you can play every down. I'll guarantee you.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets the shirt on.
Yeah, big old pipes. Those big old pipes. You got to pull it tight up over those pipes. Lompoc. Some people call it lompoc. It's lompoc.
Hostetler back to throw it. Pass is picked off again by, this is by Brock Marion. Brock Marion, I saw the one. I thought it was Dion. It's Brock Marion.
You know, I think the Raiders have really expected the Cowboys to be in a lot of man coverage. And the Cowboys in this game are going back to more zone. Even with Dion, letting Dion play some man, they're also playing some zone.
So Dallas gets the ball back.
And you just see what the zone looks like, Pat. You can see that they're going to rotate up here on this side. We can just stop it here. You see, this is the zone. See, they're rotating here. Here's the safety. They're playing this zone. All these guys are playing zone underneath. They're not playing man-to-man. And Brock Marion is just sitting right there in the middle.
The intended receiver for the Raiders fell down again.
You know, it's ironic, but the Raider players have slipped more on this field today than the Cowboys.
Aikman to throw. Going deep for Irvin. And Michael Irvin comes back to throw it. And gets a first down at the 16. Pass was short. Irvin came back, made the adjustment, and got it.
Yeah, one thing, Michael Irvin was really frustrated last week. For all intent and purposes, he only caught one pass. Here he is out here. Again, and you see it's just a little stop and go. The ball is stopped, is thrown short. Michael Irvin makes a great adjustment on the ball.
And again, the Raider defender slipped. 36-yard gain. Area. John and I will be in Detroit.
I'm leaving tonight.
Screen pass to Novacek. Chased down by Chester McLaughlin.
And one thing, this Cowboy line has done a pretty good job of protecting Troy Aikman because, as I said earlier, I didn't feel that his knee is completely healthy. And the thing that when you have a quarterback and he's not completely healthy, I don't think either one of these quarterbacks are today, but they need good pass protection. They can't be beaten around.
Deion Sanders on offense. Lined up to Aikman's left. Reverse. Nothing doing for Deion. Rob Fredrickson.
Did you see when Rod Fredrickson hit him?
Yeah.
He stopped. Deion was trying to keep his feet going, and the feet were just going. He wasn't going anywhere. But that's a linebacker hitting the guy. Watch when Fredrickson hits him. It's going to be a reverse out here to this side, to the right of the screen. Fredrickson sees it right now. Now watch Deion's feet when he hits him. I mean, both feet, the cleats, all the cleats just come out of the ground. Look, he has no cleats in the ground anymore. If you don't have any cleats, you don't have any feet in the ground. If you don't have any feet in the ground, you can't keep going where you were going.
We'll have to wait for the next dance.
That is the definition of a decleater. I mean, he just hit him and boom, he knocked both feet straight up in the air.
And then the ball angered him.
I'm sure the defenses think I've heard enough about Deion.
Yeah.
Deion this, Deion that, Deion dance. Deion's not going to do it to me.
Not going to dance when I got a shot.
Yeah, that's the problem with playing offense. You know, on defense, you can do the hit, and on offense, all those guys that want to get you can get you.
Yeah.
You know,
Legally.
Linebackers have that goofy look in their eye. You know, they walk around like that and say, put them on offense, let me get a hold of them. I'll show you what $35 million is. You become a target. You become a marked man.
Linebackers and special team guys live in a different zone.
Well, they're all goofy.
Here's Aikman. Complete to Emmitt Smith.
There was Rob Fredrickson again.
Unusual route for Emmitt.
I think that they're trying to get things underneath out here, and the guy that I usually get it underneath to is Jay Novacek or the Moose, but on this case they're running a pattern out there to Emmitt Smith, and I think they probably liked having Rod Fredrickson on him, but the thing is you have to run your pattern enough. If it's complete, you have to get a first down. Fredrickson made a heck of a play by tackling before he got to the first down.
That's 2 plays in a row by Fredrickson. Bonio for the field goal. And he is good, and it's 17-7. From 26 yards away, Chris Bonio, who's having a fine year, puts the Cowboys ahead by 10. Cowboys 17, Raiders 7 in Oakland. Coming up, the Dockers halftime with JB, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy, the full cast. Scores and highlights of all the games around the league today. Bonio back to kick off.
Maybe Howie will know where Anthony Smith was. They're old teammates. You know, Aikman's on a little hot streak here. I mean, they didn't get that first down there. He completed the pass to Emmitt Smith, but when he did that, that was 11 straight. So he's kind of, you know, he gets that way. I mean, he'll get in a streak or in a zone or whatever that word is, and he can darn near get to perfect.
He can put the ball in places that no one else can when he gets that streak going, that zone. Ismail will return the kickoff. He slipped. Down he goes at about the 24.
Yeah, I think it's a real disadvantage that the Raiders don't live here in Oakland, that they practice in Los Angeles and just come up here so late. I always felt it was a real advantage to know your field. And we used to practice here every Saturday before a home game. Sometimes we'd practice here Friday and Saturday because we wanted the advantage of knowing the field better than the opponent ever did. And we always did.
In this case, the Cowboys had a walkthrough yesterday. Not much happened, but they did get accustomed to the field. The Raiders didn't get hit until about 6 o'clock, so they haven't seen it.
No, I think that's a disadvantage. I think that when the Raiders move here full time, they'll pick up that advantage.
Hostetler to Williams. About 8. Godfrey Miles made the stop.
Now the Raiders are going with that no huddle that we talked about. I think we'll probably see a little more of that in the second half.
Second and 2. Hostetler back. Williams again. Darren Smith. But he'll have enough for a first down.
I don't know that you even wanted that complete, Pat, because it was only for about 2 yards. I think they ruled it incomplete anyway. Yeah, they did. But I don't know. In this situation with 27 seconds, I think you got to get the ball a little deeper than 2 yards. I think that you know, West Coast or whatever, those short passing things are good, but in these situations, you have to get the ball up the field.
This is Williams. And again, he loses his footing. He got the first down, but they call a timeout with 20 seconds remaining.
In fact, I would say right now the team that should have the longer cleats are the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
At the 40. A gain of 7 on the play.
This had to grab you a little bit. This is the locker room yesterday where you used to coach.
Well, yeah, this was a coaching locker. That was my locker right there. No. Here's the players' locker. You see those old stools? They're the same stools that we had there when I was coaching. I thought this was a great big locker room. This is where my quarterbacks used to be. In fact, right here, this locker there, that was Kenny Stabler's locker. Troy Aikman was in it yesterday. This was our training room. I thought it was a big training room, but I looked at it yesterday and said, geez, how do you can only fit about 3 or 4 guys in there. My philosophy was if you had a little training room and no one could go in there, then no one would get hurt.
And no one could hide in there.
Yeah, but it was great walking through there. But now they have carpet on it. I mean, when we were there, we didn't even have any carpet. Cowboys were saying it's a small locker room. I told them, I said, a lot of games were won out of that locker room.
1st and 10. Hostetler back to throw it. Hennings hit Hostetler just as he let it go. Pass is caught by Brown. Chad Hennings, and Hostetler is still down. Chad Hennings hit him just as he fired.
You just had the feeling it's the first time that Hostetler took a hit that he was going to stay down. You see, here's the stunt. He'll come outside. Haley goes to the inside. See Charles Haley take the inside. Chad Hennings takes the outside, and he just hits Hostetler right after he throws the ball. See, 94 Haley goes inside. Hennings comes to the outside, and you can see it's that left shoulder. It's that left side. Even before he got hit, that left side was bothering him. And you can just see in the pregame warm-ups that the first time that he got hit or got that type of hit that we were going to see Vince Evans. Let's just look at the stunt again. Watch Charles Haley. He'll come to the inside. Now, he really draws a crowd. Hennings starts push on his guy. Then he loops to the outside right there. And you can see even before that play, Hostetler was holding his left arm in close, and the ball, and he just went right down on his left shoulder.
And that's a big load on top of him. Chad Hennings, the strongest of the Cowboys.
And that's why we talked about pass protection going to be so important, because I didn't feel coming into this game that either one of these quarterbacks could take a hit like that.
Vince Evans, you saw loosening up on the sideline. He's the oldest player in the NFL. The emergency quarterbacks for the Raiders, Billy Joe Hobart, and for Dallas, Jason Garrett.
So that means Vince Evans will come in now, and as you say, the oldest player in the league, the oldest quarterback. And the thing that always amazes me about Vince Evans is that he's the oldest quarterback, but he can still run.
Yeah.
And usually when you get the old quarterback, you just rush to a point. With Vince Evans, now you have to say, now we have to worry about control. We have to worry about contain. You have to worry about all those things you worry about a young quarterback. I mean, just watch this. And again, it's his left hand is broken and it's left shoulder. You can see how he's holding. And watch right there. He falls right on the left shoulder, and he immediately grabs his shoulder with the right arm. Jeff Hostetler is really hurting.
Because he's a tough guy.
Yeah, and that left hand is already broken. He's had the throat injury this year, and he injured that left shoulder last week against the Giants. When we talked to him last night, that left shoulder didn't. Anytime you hold your elbow that close to your body, and I watched him in the pregame warm-up, he was doing it all the time.
When he was throwing, his throwing motion was a little awkward looking.
And I think that, we talked about if they could, run the ball and really protect him so he didn't take that kind of shot, he could probably get through the game. But he couldn't take that kind of shot that Chad Hennings put on him. And I don't think Troy Aikman could either. Remember?
No, I don't think so. What happened to him last week?
Yeah, last week it was Dana Stubblefield who hit him like Chad Hennings did and fell on him, and that was the one that put him out of the game. I don't think he could take a hit like that this week.
Marquez Pope hit him first on the first play of the game, the first pass play.
Marquez Pope is number 23. Came off the corner on a blitz, and you see him go right down. Troy Aikman go right down on his left knee. Then Dana Stubblefield got him here, and he fell on the left knee. I don't think he could take another one like that today.
Well, that was on turf. This is on grass. And that's not an indictment of any surface.
Well, I think it should be an indictment. I think artificial turf stinks. I don't think there's any place in football for it.
Well, that's an indictment then.
Yeah, it should be. They're cheering Jeff Hostetler, but they love Vince Evans here too.
And again, as you pointed out earlier, the amazing thing about Vince Evans is he can still run.
And he's a change of pace.
Yep.
I mean, when Vince Evans goes back there, you have no idea. I mean, he may run with it, throw it anywhere, run and throw it, do any of those things.
Evans back to throw it, but he can still run. And Hennings came off the block to cut him down. No huddle offense. It might get off another play, maybe not.
At the end of
That's the end of the first half. They will not get off another play. And at halftime at the Oakland Coliseum, stunned Oakland home crowd at the moment at least, as Dallas leads by 10. Touchdown pass from Aikman to Irvin, and a touchdown by Smith, 17-7. Back at the Oakland Coliseum, Pat Summerall with John Madden. And John, we talked about the confidence factor before the game. I think the Cowboys lacked some. They got it back, and the Raiders have to have a little doubt.
Yeah, and the Cowboys got it back, and I think part of it is Troy Aikman is in that zone now. He has 11 straight. He has this thing that it looks like he can throw to Michael Irvin anytime he wants to. The pass protection for the Cowboys is good. I'm surprised at the way the Raiders are falling down and slipping on this field. I think that's been a big part of the story. You would expect if there's going to be a lot of slipping, you expect that the Cowboys would have been doing the slipping and the Raiders would have control, but that first half was really the opposite of that.
Let's have a look. As you look at Troy Aikman, let's have a look at the halftime statistics.
Well, again, this one here is always big. The Raiders had 2 turnovers, and then that went directly to 10 Cowboy points. And then, of course, they also missed a field goal. So that's really the story of the first half. The other story of the first half is that Jeff Hostetler is out. So we're going to see a different Raider offense this second half with Vince Evans leading.
Vince Evans, much more mobile. Not that Hostetler isn't mobile, but as injured as he is, here's what they had to do at the halftime to repair the turf, or attempt to. And as you said,
when I was here, they always used to blame Al Davis for watering down the field, or
they blamed you
for watering down the field, and now here it is all these years later, they still have the same problem. And the problem is that the field is below sea level.
Kevin Williams to the 32, where the Cowboys will take over.
Boy, there was some hitting on that play. Did you hear that?
Yes.
We talk about guys with goofy eyes. Those guys that run down on kickoffs and slam into each other, and then the guys that have to slam into them, they're about half goofy.
That's one thing we've often talked about, that you miss not being down on the field at the game, is the speed at which things happen and the sound of how hard they hit each other.
Because if you are down there and you hear the sound, you also feel the contact.
Emmitt Smith is deep behind Aikman. That's Novacek with motion to the right, and Aikman will throw it. Novacek shakes away from one of the Raiders and gets to midfield. He rarely gets hit hard, but that time he did.
Now, when you go back into that middle of the field, you can look in the first half where Troy Aikman threw his passes. You can see that he was 11 out of 13. In fact, he was 11 out of 11. And 5 for 6 out here in the left side, 4 for 4 in the right, 1 for 1 here, 0 for 1 here. But most of his passes that he threw, or the damage he did, were to the outside areas of the field.
To Michael Irvin. Emmitt Smith. Emmitt spins away from a couple, and it's foot race. Emmitt is dragged down by Derek Hoskins. And he must have very strong hands, is all I can say.
He does, and he has some speed, too, because when you see Emmitt Smith come in here, he's going to break away, and he has an angle right here on Derek Hoskins. He has Hoskins beat, so Hoskins has to make up a couple of steps to get in position to get that left hand on him to grab him. See, good blocking up there, missed tackle on the line. Greg Biekert missed him right there in the middle. I'll tell you, that was a heck of a play by Hoskins coming across there.
Smith got the first down. Williams in motion. Aikman to throw. Wheels it out to Novacek early. That should be enough for another first down. Mike Jones made the stop.
Well, that halftime didn't bother Troy Aikman, because I think going in, he was 11 out of 11, and he's 2 out of 2, so now he must be like 13 straight pass completions.
That fits.
And, and when he gets on that, a lot of it's him. A lot of it is Jay Novacek and Michael Irvin as receivers. But, again, you have to give a lot of the credit to that offensive line, because that means that they're giving him time and protection to do this.
Not only do they give him time, John, and protection, as you said, they give him lanes to throw in, and that's very important against a big group like this Raider group.
Yeah, and that's what the tackles do real well. I mean, I think that's why he likes to throw to his right a lot, because his big tackle, Eric Williams, is on that side. And Eric Williams, over the years, I mean, when he bumps the guy, he kind of knocks him out of a lot of lanes and gives Troy Aikman a lot of throwing to that right side.
Two tight ends. Novacek moves left. First down, it's Emmitt Smith, the flag on the play. Smith down to the 20, inside to about the 19, stopped by Mike Jones, but flags.
Joe King on the stop. A penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we were talking last week how Troy Aikman, you know, likes Jay Novacek so well, and you can see on this drive why.
Offsides, number 91 defense, penalties accepted, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
But you can see why. In fact, last week, Troy Aikman told us, you know, when Jay Novacek retires, I'm going to retire too. He said,
then he backed off a little bit.
Well, he backed off a little. He said, I don't want to play without Jay Novacek. And you can just see why. I mean, get open and just with the way he catches. I mean, that's a thing of beauty.
Look that ball right into your hands. Novacek just illustrated that. Here's Emmitt Smith. Down to the 15. McLaughlin on the stop.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Ernie Zampese said yesterday, that they would, with those big tackles, Chester McLaughlin in there and Jerry Ball, that he thinks that maybe if they can control the ball and keep them on the field a little, that maybe they'll get tired. And, you know, they're bringing Jerry Ball in and out. Jerry Ball wasn't in the last play. In fact, he just came in on this play. So you can see the Raiders are trying to keep them fresh. The Cowboys are trying to wear them down.
Hand off to Darrell Johnston. And the Moose will get a first. Stopped by Pat Swilling.
You know what Mrs. Moose was telling me about Moose? She said that she can always tell his good blocks because he keeps his back flat. Now, only a mother would know about a flat back of a blocker.
A mother of a football player.
And she said she watches him every play. And I said, mothers always do. If you want to know how a guy played, you ask his mother after the game, because the mother will watch that player no matter what happens, on or off field. She'll watch him every play of the game.
First down. Aikman fakes reverse, going to throw screen. Just threw it to the open spaces as Jerry Ball read it well.
And when Jerry Ball reads it well and he gets out there in a screen, there aren't many open spaces.
That's right.
I mean, he had to throw that ball over Jerry Ball, which you can do because Jerry Ball's not very tall, but big old Jerry Ball is wide. So they're going to come out here to the left. You see him fake to Emmitt Smith, and then Jerry Ball is covering him right there. You see Jerry Ball is right there. So you can't throw it through Jerry Ball. He just eclipsed Emmitt Smith. You couldn't even see Emmitt Smith.
Jerry Ball is not very tall. That's good. Here's Emmitt Smith, who's very good. Touchdown. A 13-yard touchdown run by Emmitt Smith.
Hey, when you play against the Cowboys, you play against Emmitt Smith, you better bring your best tacklers. You better be ready to tackle. The Raiders on this drive missed too many tackles. But Emmitt Smith will cause you to do that. Part of it is blocking, part of it is Emmitt Smith, and part of it is missed tackling.
Bonio for the extra point. Novacek stays in to hold it. Dale Hellestree, the snapper. Everything worked perfectly. 24-7. Missed tackle. Missed tackle. Touchdown.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By Hager, 100% cotton wrinkle-free pants and shirts. By Remington's Triple Foil, the world's only shaver with 3 microscreens. If you can grow it, we can shave it. And by Digital Equipment Corporation. Digital, whatever it takes.
This foul.
The Oakland Coliseum. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 24-7. Dallas leads Oakland. Ismail. Taken down by Robert Bailey. Good job on special teams today. The MetLife blimp Snoopy 2 cruising the skies over the Oakland Coliseum, powered by twin engines that are capable of reaching speeds greater than 57 miles an hour. Snoopy 2 can navigate at altitudes in excess of 6,000 feet. The skies are clear, and he could go as high as he can and as close as he wants to. First and 10, Raiders at their own 19. Vince Evans, the quarterback. Harvey Williams. Darren Smith. Dixon Edwards.
Darren Smith on the tackle for the Cowboys.
If you look at the Raiders where they ran the ball, they had some success both with Harvey Williams and Napoleon Kaufman. And they're balanced pretty well between the middle and the left. You see 49 yards to the left, 56 yards to the middle. Only 7 yards to the right. So they're successful running. It looks like they're running at Charles Haley and then cutting inside him.
Evans to Brown. Godfrey Miles made the stop.
I'll tell you one thing, when they do go back to pass, they're always going to have someone on Charles Haley. They're not going to leave Robert Jenkins over there just blocking him by himself. What they do is you're going to see Jenkins block. Then they bring a back right in here to chip him. They just call that chipping, and I'll tell you, that is distracting because you work on a guy, and you see just this here, right there. There is a chip, and they've been doing that to Charles Haley all day.
Well, you have to.
And that kind of redirects him and gets him back on the tackle and all those things, because if there's anyone that can disrupt a passing game, it's number 94.
They're going to measure for this first down. Jeff Hostetler, the Raiders tell us, will not be back. And he's staying in the dressing room. He went down with that injured left shoulder. It was already hurt. And Chad Hennings got loose and knocked Jeff down again and hurt the shoulder again. And Vince Evans has replaced him. 24-7, Dallas leading. 9:54 left in the third.
And we talked about how Napoleon Kaufman is a changeup for Harvey Williams. Vince Evans is a changeup for Jeff Hostetler.
Third and very short. Two tight ends.
They tried to get an extra blocker in there. You see that in that quarterback sneak.
Got the first down.
They brought their tight end, Andrew Glover, in and kind of had him right next to the quarterback to get a little push on that thing.
Russell Maryland assisting with the tackle.
You see, watch this. You see the tight end coming. He's just going to stop right here. Here's Andrew Glover right here. He's just going to kind of get right there to the side and see if he can find something to give a push to Vince Evans. But Evans says, well, if I'm going to get behind someone, I'm going to get behind big old Gogan, my right guard. And he followed big old Gogan in there.
Big old Gogan's playing extremely well. Here's Evans back to throw. Slip. Firing deep to Ismail. Covered by, guess who? Deion Sanders, and covered well.
And he wanted an offensive pass interference, but more than that, he wanted the ball. He ran faster than Ismail.
Yes, he did.
You know, Vince Evans just threw that ball out there, and Deion Sanders took off, and at a point, he gets even with him. At the next point, he gets beyond him, and then at one point, he's a defender, and then he becomes the receiver. Look at him slide. You don't think it's slippery out there?
You wonder how fast he is.
He's fast. I think he's as fast as he has to be, which makes him faster than anyone else that plays this game.
Three wide receivers, two of them to the right. Evans gets to Williams. He gets about three before he's stopped by Godfrey Miles. Robert Jones aggravated or pulled a groin muscle. And Miles has taken his place and done well.
You know, the amazing guy in this Cowboy defense to me is still Charles Haley. Here's a guy who has a bad back. Doesn't practice all week, and just comes in here and play, and never looks like he gets tired. Is always double teamed, chip chopped, and everything else you can do to him, but is still the most effective pass rusher in the game.
Watch him on this play. 3rd and 8. Inside. Raiders did a good job. This is almost picked off. Almost picked off by Godfrey Miles.
Godfrey Miles better watch out. He pushed a Raider. He can get a penalty for that. He gets so happy with himself. He gets so happy with himself, he gets angry. Here's Godfrey Miles right here playing that linebacker position. He's just going to drop in his zone. You see, he just drops, reads the quarterback's eyes, sees that cross coming, and jumps on it. I know what Cowboy fans are saying now. Where was he when Jerry Rice was running those crossing patterns last week?
Jeff Gossett to punt it. Deion Sanders is deep. This is not Gossett's best. He must have seen number 21 back there, shanked it.
Yeah, they had 3 deep guys, and they had Deion over on this side, so they're setting up a trick. They're setting up a reverse or something like that for Deion.
That was only a 17-yard punt. Dallas leads it 24-7. Don't forget Thanksgiving Day. We'll be in the home of the Lions as they entertain the Minnesota Vikings. Coverage begins at noon Eastern time. And Coach Madden and I will be there. Aikman going for more. Novacek got some more. Dan Land made the stop.
You know, we're going to give the turkey legs away, you know, at Thanksgiving like we always do, and we have to have a bunch of turkeys and a bunch of legs, so I'm starting to look them over here. I want a big old one. Oh, that one there looks pretty good. Let's see. Oh, this one here doesn't look bad either.
Neither one of them look bad.
Well, you know, it's like players and stuff. You got to scout for them. You start looking at them and you start picking them out. And I saw a few in there. I think I saw a 6-legged one.
At least 6.
Well, yeah, I mean,
maybe more.
Well, I would like to get 8. You know, twice as many as normal. But, you know, you just keep looking. So you scout, you look and everything, just like these guys. You know, they're got the thing, they're showing pictures, and this is what happened, and this is what we did, and this is what they did. So there's electronic images that they can get down. They take them from up above, and then they get them down to the sideline in a machine, and then they can show the still pictures to the players.
Irvin and Novacek lined up side by side. Now Irvin goes the other direction, and Aikman goes back to throw it. Gets it up the middle to Michael Irvin. Stopped by Greg Biekert.
You see where the moose was on that play? Because they moved Michael Irvin around. The moose was outside as a wide receiver. He was flanked way out to the left. And he had some funny stance. I don't know what kind of stance that is, but look at this. That's what happens when you put a fullback out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't line up square, and he didn't line up. They kind of lined up perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. And you see the defense, they gave him no respect.
That was a different pattern he ran, too.
But his alignment, I don't know what the heck that alignment was.
3rd and 4. Aikman back to throw it. Throws back to Novacek. Novacek down the sideline to about the 16. And right now for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
Had a superb day for Warren Moon, who tosses his 4th touchdown of the afternoon as he finds Chris Carter. 9 receptions, 108 yards for Chris, and 2 TDs, 36-10 Minnesota. Back to Pat and John.
Back here, Troy Aikman is just as hot as Moon. 1st and 10 Cowboys at about the 17 of the Raiders. 16. They went with 2 tight ends. They went with Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt flashes down inside the 10 to about the 8.
Emmitt Smith is getting close to 100 yards now, and again, you know, like I said, a big part of it's Emmitt Smith, who to me is the best running back in football. A big part of it is this offensive line and the job that they're going to do blocking on this side. Moose Johnston, of course, always giving him that lead. Boom, getting that block right there. That's the block that creates a hole. and then Emmitt Smith running through it.
Aikman is 16 out of 19. Smith having a hot day. Irvin having a hot day.
Yeah, Moose making that block there.
Yeah.
Mom Moose watching, had a flat back on that block.
Yes, he did. Smith again. Not much this time. Hit by Beekert. Jerry Ball on the last play, the previous play, came to the sideline, and they're checking him.
You know, they've been working over that area. I mean, those guys, Jerry Ball, Chester McLaughlin, have really been working against those big guys on that middle of the Cowboy line, and that's been a battle all day.
And so far, that Cowboy line has done very well.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys, overall, up and down the line have probably won that. A guy that's really been quiet on the Raider defense today is Pat Swilling.
Aikman outside to Moose. Flag on the play. A penalty marker, 2 of them, in fact. Moose Johnston made the reception.
Yeah, we were talking about the time that Aikman has gotten, and the Raiders, Pat Swilling has had a heck of a year this year, putting pressure on quarterbacks, but I don't know that he's made a play today. I don't remember Pat Swilling making a play.
I remember calling his name after a tackle, but not a pass rush.
I think a big part of that is Mark Tuinei, the job that he's doing, and Eric Williams. Those 2 tackles will keep a lot of defensive ends quiet.
We've got a multiple foul on the defense. Holding on number 52. That penalty's declined. Personal foul on number 99. Hit to the quarterback and half the distance to the goal. First
That's
down.
Andre Bruce.
You're going to see 99. Andre Bruce is right there. And he starts in, and they say that, see, Troy Aikman throws the ball. No, that wasn't Andre Bruce. No, that was the wrong guy. They called that one on. That was James Folston, who they should have called it on, number 55. Andre Bruce was close, but Andre Bruce didn't do that.
Folston, I guess, should have been called. That was close, too.
Yeah, I don't know about either one of them, but I know the guy it wasn't Andre Bruce.
Aikman gives to Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt scores his 3rd of the day. Emmitt Smith, 3 touchdowns. He is going to fill that trophy case he's got where he keeps all those balls he scores a touchdown with in his establishment in Pensacola, Florida. That's going to be full.
Again, look at this, 52 yards. He has 89 yards, period. And his yards after contact is 52. So 52 of those yards were made after an initial contact, which means missed tackles by the Raiders.
Bonio for the extra point. It's good. And the Cowboys move further ahead, 31-7. Emmitt Smith scored 3 times.
See, here's a Raider problem out here. They're not getting any force. You stop this, you have to get someone up here. Moose Johnson just knocks this guy down, and Emmitt Smith just carries it in. But they have no force on the outside. See, whap there. Now you got a soft corner. Now watch Moose Johnson. Whap, he just knocks a guy down, and that's about as easy as a touchdown can get. But you have to have force on that side. I mean, not only on short yardage and goal line, but anywhere in the field. If you have a guy inside the tight end, someone, boom, has to be up to that outside a lot quicker than that.
Emmitt Smith has tied Franco Harris for 5th place on the all-time touchdown rushing list. Bonio's kick is short. Napoleon Kaufman brought it out near midfield, but there's a flag on the play. Eric Bjornsson made the stop. Emmitt Smith, by the way, has 91 touchdowns rushing, holding against the Raiders.
And those are the things that still kill the Raiders today, the penalties.
Number 57 on the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Rob Holmberg is the guilty party. The Cowboys 31, the Raiders 7. Third quarter score. This was at 9:30 this morning. It's very foggy. The whole stadium shrouded. But that did not deter the Oakland Raider fans. They were here, and they were here early.
And they always do. And they get here early, and they stay late. They may be out in that parking lot all night.
Evans. This again at 9:30 this morning.
Well, if you're going to do it, you got to get set up to do it.
Might as well be all day.
What are they cooking there? They're there so early they have to have eggs.
That looks like a hand grenade. A big one.
You just eat that and you'll explode.
Yeah. Evans going deep. He got somebody open. Darryl Hobbs out of his reach. Whoa.
Now there's some good-looking meat, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have meat, you want big old meat like that and big old beans.
And you got to be here at 9:30 if you're going to get it done by game time.
Big old guys. I wonder who that guy is right there and that guy is right there.
I think that might be both their last names might be Madden.
Yeah. They know how to tailgate. I tell you, they learned that. They learned how to eat. They had a good eating coach.
You taught him. Evans to Brown at near midfield.
Hey, we talk about on defense, Pat Swilling being quiet. For the second quarter in this second half, Tim Brown has been quiet.
This is Darren Woodson down for the Dallas Cowboys.
And a first down at midfield.
He has been a heck of a player.
Well, he is, because he's one of those guys that was a linebacker in college. So if you need a run guy or an extra linebacker, he can play that. He has good speed, so he can be a defensive back. They had trouble with the slot last week against the 49ers, and they had a linebacker in the slot. Today he played Woodson mostly on the slot. And you're going to see right here, look at that. It's just right there where the paint was.
It slipped.
On that Oakland Raider. Yeah, his leg just slipped. Saying how safe it was. The grass is, but the paint isn't. That was where the paint was on the grass.
Darren Woodson has been replaced by Robert Bailey. It looks like fun.
Yeah, fun, but the guy got to be at the ball game. How can you be doing that stuff when there's ball being played? What kind of guy says, well, the Cowboys are in town, the Raiders are back, the Raiders and the Cowboys, I think I'll go jet skiing. What kind of guy is that?
Here's Vince Evans, chased by Herbert McCormick, gets rid of it to Tim Brown, and Brown out of bounds. Look, you see the block in front of him by Napoleon Kaufman?
And there was one by Hobbs, too. Darryl Hobbs came by and picked someone off.
25-yard gain, excuse me.
This is the thing that Vince Evans can do. He's really sacked there. He just keeps moving. Finally finds his guy down the field. But watch, here's Napoleon Kaufman right there. And the guy just before him was Hobbs, who picked off two. Darryl Hobbs blocked that like a linebacker.
First down, Evans gives to Kaufman. And they head him off at the pass. Russell, Maryland, and Bailey were out there.
Watch Darryl Hobbs, number 80, right there. He's going to get him a pair. He just hits one and knocks him right into the other. They were like hitting bowling pins.
Yep.
You know how sometimes you bowl a ball, bowling, and it hits a pin, and boom, it goes into the other pin? That's what Darryl Hobbs did to the Cowboys.
Like dominoes. 2nd and 9. Evans back to throw it. Incomplete. Intended for Andrew Glover. Tonight, the Raider fans, none like them.
Well, they came here to really make a lot of noise and to cheer and to go crazy, but it's tough when your team's down 31-7.
Some of them went crazy anyway. Evans deep for the corner for Hobbs. Incomplete. Larry Brown back there with him. Vince Evans started with the Bears. Seems like he's been around for forever.
Yeah, and he's been, if a new league would come up, he played there. He played in Chicago for a couple teams. Then he played for the Bears, and then he played in the World League there. And then he's been with the Raiders. And
this is 4th down.
16-year veteran.
About 9. They're 1 for 1, but a lot shorter than 4th and 9. Evans back to throw. Chase and gets rid of it. Tim Brown, touchdown. What a play by Vince Evans.
That's the thing that Vince Evans gives you. We talked about that, the oldest quarterback in football, but he also is one of the best moving quarterbacks in football.
I don't know how he got the ball out of there.
I don't know, but this is the second time that the Cowboys thought they had him, and he makes a big play on him. 4th down, he's on his way down.
Yeah.
He was tackled, he was going down, and he just had the presence as he was going down. I think I'll throw one to Tim Brown. Watch him, he's looking, this is concentration when you can do this as you're in the act of being tackled. Woo.
That's one heck of a play. The extra point is good.
I think the Cowboy defense kind of thought he was being tackled too, because it looked like they kind of let up.
If he's not falling in that direction, he couldn't have thrown that. But he knew what he did.
Well, he wanted to look behind. He looked behind him first to the referee to make sure that it was a touchdown. I think the Raiders were in a little shock from all their penalties. Make sure there was no penalties, and he had a touchdown.
And again, Charles Haley almost got him.
That's Charles Haley. He just runs around Jenkins here. He gets the chip by Fenner, and that just kind of redirects him to the inside. And he was tackling him, and as he was going down, he throws this ball to Tim Brown. That is a play.
Yep.
It looked like the secondary thought he was down. They didn't have to make a play.
I thought he was down.
Well, Deion Sanders was the last guy to come across here. He gave a little flop at him, but he got in the end zone.
Brown.
Kick, but the Raiders did have an opportunity earlier. Remember when they had that 15-yard penalty after their other score? I thought that would have been a good time to change the momentum and go for an onside kick. This is not a good time.
Again, Deion Sanders back as part of the return, 3 deep, along with Kevin Williams, who is going to make the return. And it's a good return. Out to the 40. Or close to it.
Well, the Cowboys have Deion Sanders back there as a third guy on both the kickoff and punt returns today, and you just have a feeling that they're setting something up. Maybe not for this game. Maybe they figured 31-14, they don't need it now. But see, here's Deion back here, and here's Kevin Williams. So they're, he's probably going to return the ball, but somewhere he's going to come up here and throw it back here, and he's going to run up here. They're going to do something like that. Maybe not in this game, but I'll guarantee in the next couple of weeks.
At least you give your future opponent something to think about. Novacek, who's had a big day, was the move man. Here's Aikman. Pass incomplete, no flag. Intended for Kevin Williams.
He had to get rid of the ball then because they haven't been knocking Troy Aikman down much, and they did on this play. But this is what I think they had to do in the first and second quarter, and they're finally getting to it now. That was Chester McLaughlin who got Troy Aikman around the knees just as he threw the ball.
And Kevin Williams is down on the far sideline. He tried to limp to the bench and couldn't make it. He just went down. He'd had a bad knee since training camp, really.
And he was, whether it was that last play or not, but remember, on the kickoff return, he was the return guy.
Got it up to the 40 where they are now. Corey Fleming would be his replacement.
You can see Kevin Williams, number 85 there. Even before the ball gets there, you could see, Pat, that he had his right foot out of the ground. I mean, as you say, he's had the bad knee anyway, and maybe he did aggravate it on the kickoff return because It looked like his knee was hurt even before the ball got there on that play. So you can watch as he comes in here. See, the right leg is already out of the ground. I don't think the injury was on that play, but I would bet it was before that.
They got to play again. The Cowboys do against Kansas City on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, they've had a real test. I mean, you know, I think they're the best team in the National Football League, and I've thought that all year. But they play the 49ers, the Raiders, and Kansas City in 10 days, and that's a real challenge for them.
That's a test. Here's Emmitt Smith, just outside the 40.
Yeah, if we look at the lack of pressure, Troy Aikman was only sacked one time. He was only hurried one time and knocked down twice. And again, coming off an injury with a bad knee, you have to do a lot better than that. I mean, even if it's not the sacks, the hurries and the knockdown, you have to have more than that.
And you give the credit to the offensive line. They knew they had to rise to this challenge. They've done it before. They did it again. 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Aikman gets to Emmitt Smith. And Smith is hit and knocked back. Larry Allen pulled through the hole ahead of him. And Dallas will have to punt.
Yeah, they were waiting for Emmitt Smith on that. They didn't get in their pass rush. They didn't, you know, run and start running up the field and let him draw and go by him. They were just waiting. They had keyed Emmitt Smith all the way on that play.
Larry Allen pulled through the hole, as I said, in front of Emmitt, and really unloaded on somebody. Dallas 31, the Raiders 14. Cowboys about to punt the first play of the fourth quarter. John Jett back deep. Raiders trying to set up a return. It's a good kick to Brown. He fields it at the 9. And down he goes at about the 16. Good coverage. Darren Smith down to make the hit.
Yeah, we look at Kevin Williams now. They're taping his ankle. They started checking his knee, and now they're working on his ankle.
Here's the old practice. That's not the field.
Well, that's part
Behind
of
that.
That's part of the fences of the field.
You kept your players inside there.
Yeah, right. This was the practice field where we practiced, and I think the new Raider practice facility is going to be in this same location. When they move back here, they're still practicing in Los Angeles, but they'll be back here next year.
They're building a new training facility. Here's Vince Evans. Lofts it out to Harvey Williams. Larry Brown made the stop.
I'll tell you one thing that the Cowboy defense is talking about now with Vince Evans in there. You know, no matter what happens, don't think that it's over until you see the ball or the whistle blows.
He's brought them back before a lot of times.
Right, and the Raiders are going no huddle here.
Huddle.
They didn't huddle up on this play.
2nd and 5. Evans moves out of the pocket, buys some time. A lot of it gets the first down, but a flag on the play. He's remarkable, Vince Evans. Howard Rowe is the referee. Excuse me.
Again, the officials going one official short. I think under those circumstances doing a pretty good job today. But the thing that's always amazed me about Vince Evans is the fact that he's the oldest quarterback, like I say, and you always tell your defense you got to watch him, you got to keep him contained, you have to watch out for him running. And those two things don't normally go together.
No.
This doesn't either.
Klein. Holding. Number 24 on a defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play is a completed pass for first down.
A completed pass?
I don't know what he's talking about because this was a run. See, they're saying that the hold is right there by Larry Brown. It was right here. but there was no completed pass. Vince Evans ran with the ball.
He ran and got the first down.
So I don't know that there can be defensive holding then either.
I don't know how it can be once he leaves the pocket and becomes a runner.
The officials are talking again now. But maybe because he was held, he couldn't throw the ball.
Maybe. In any case, it's first down. The Raiders, and Evans is back to throw again. The Cowboys blitz, but he still gets it off. For James Jett, incomplete. Larry Brown on the coverage, and an excellent job.
I think when James Jett comes in the game, they know that he's going to go deep on an up or a post, so they just start running. Watch Larry Brown. He knows Jett's going to go deep. He's not worrying about an in and out or a hook. He's just running right to the post. He just races him to the post.
Very intelligent.
Yep, if Jett comes in there, it's going to be a deep pass pattern. If it's going to be a deep pass pattern, it's going to be upper post. He ran to the post and brought a little of that football field back in his helmet.
Here's Evans to throw it again. This one's to Brown, incomplete. Chad Hennings and Hervin McCormick.
This is a blitz now. What the Cowboys are doing is they bring Darren Woodson. You see him coming from the corner. They bring the guys up the middle. Haley from the outside. They're trying to get not only pressure but containment on Vince Evans. Pressure from all areas and containment on the outside.
The two tackles made the penetration. Hennings and McCormick. Here's Evans again. Haley's got him by the shirt. He got away. Gets rid of the ball. Gets it to Harvey Williams. Flag on the play. Penalty marker down. Well upfield as Evans shook Charles Haley.
I think someone grabbed Charles Haley too. They chipped Charles Haley. I think they grabbed Charles Haley and he had Vince Evans. Watch Charles Haley here again. He's going to be right there chipped. You see, that's the chip, and he gets by the block and the chip, and he gets a hold of Vince Evans. Can't bring him down, just spins him around.
5-yard penalty. First down.
Again, the defensive holding penalty gets the Raiders a first down.
That was against Alundis Bryce, I think, so that'll be an automatic first down for the Raiders.
Haley gets a rest. Shante Carver, who has a broken hand, replaces him. The rush doesn't get there. Evans fires deep for Darrell Hobbs. And again, let's send you back to Los Angeles, to Hollywood. McDonald upright.
All right, Pat, I tell you, the Vikings are doing it every way. Scotty Graham pounding his way through for his first touchdown of the season as the Vikings continue to pound the Saints 43-10. It'll be the Vikings and Lions Thanksgiving Day pregame show, 12 noon Eastern. Back to Pat and John.
Napoleon Kaufman now deep. And here's Evans. Pass complete to James Jett. That time he didn't go deep. And the pass is complete. Flag on the play again.
Evans is right back in that area of offensive holding against the Raiders, and that's what it is. Well, I'll tell you, you just watch this thing, and just anytime they get something going, whether offense or defense, they always have those penalties. They're just killing them. But Vince Evans has done his part.
Yes, he has.
Throwing the ball while he's tackled, zipping it.
Illegal hands. Number 78 to the face. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
That's Greg Skripanak. He's right here. He's the right tackle. And they're saying that it wasn't holding, but it's hands to the face. See that right hand? He gets that right hand up there on Tony Tolbert, and usually if you get it up there and take it out, it's okay. If you leave it up there is when you get in trouble. Skripanak looked like he pulled it back out.
But it's second and 20. Evans gets to Napoleon Kaufman. And he's out to about the 27. 31-14, Dallas leading the Raiders.
Yeah, that looked like a touchy call to me. I mean, I don't know. Skripanak Looked like he got that hand up there, but he brought it right back.
No huddle. Third down. Long yardage they need. Evans. Pass is caught by Ismail as he's stretched out right in front of the Raider bench.
And Larry Brown fell down on that one. You see that? He started to the inside. Larry Brown tripped and fell down. And Rocket Ismail did stretch out and kept both feet inbound. That was a heck of a catch. It was a heck of a move on Larry Brown, too.
Remarkable. 1st and 10. They got the clutch first down. 12-10 left to play. The Cowboys showed blitz and then didn't. Intended for Ismail.
I tell you, and Scott Case was coming over, and there was going to be a heck of a collision there. There was that double zone where the corner hits him, and the safety comes over, and they tried to hit in between the rotated corner, Larry Brown, and Scott Case, the safety.
No huddle again. Raiders ready. Harvey Williams deep. Evans back. The pass outside to Hobbs.
It was funny, we were talking to Jeff Hostetler last night. He said that was one pass that you don't want to do on Dion, that like 10 or 12 yard out. And that was the pass that Hobbs just caught on Deion Sanders. He said that's the one that will make a tackler out if you throw that. He said there was some things they thought they could do to Dion, but that 12-yard out wasn't one of them.
Well, he said they felt they had some talented people who wanted to challenge Dion. I wouldn't want to challenge him too much.
Well, if you know a guy like Tim Brown, I mean, you know, Tim Brown, Notre Dame, Heisman Trophy, #1 draft choice, and he'd like some of himself in there, I think. But watch Dion. He's playing off more than he usually does. I mean, Deion Sanders, even though they're playing a nickel, they have 7 defensive backs in there. I don't think Deion Sanders ever has to play that far off.
First down, Raiders at the Cowboy 45. 31-14, Dallas leading. Evans throws back to Harvey Williams. He's got some room. Recovery by Darren Woodson brought him down. There's a blocker around his feet. Woodson shed him, made the stop. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Oakland Raiders and the National Football League is prohibited. No huddle again. Quick out is short for Jet.
The fight. Oh, there's a penalty. Someone's dragging Russell Maryland. Wisniewski grabs Maryland. That's Gogan. You see Gogan? He's saying, I'll see you after. Look, he's talking. Talk. He pointed, I'll see you after.
Bye-bye.
Like that deal about talking, I'll see you after school. That's a chop block there. See, that's what they hated right there, that chop block. And then Maryland pushed Gogan, and then Gogan and Maryland get into it. And they threw the penalty against Maryland right there when Russell Maryland hit Gogan with that right hand. But you see it all started over that chop block.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on number 67 defense. That's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's when they saw it. And it's going to start with a chop block. Watch here. Watch Kevin Gogan here. You see when he goes down, right there, you see when Tolbert jumps up, Gogan goes down for the knees. Russell Maryland saw it and says, you don't do that. Gogan and Maryland were ex-teammates. The penalty was for Russell Maryland throwing that right hand at big old Gogan.
And Maryland left the game. They didn't throw him out. Hervin McCormick took his place. Evans gets it underneath to Williams.
Pass complete.
Williams down to the 20.
But again, the thing that Russell Maryland was fighting for, he was fighting for Tony Tolbert, because he felt that Gogan, when Tolbert was up in the air, chopped him at his knees.
You don't see him get mad very often, but
I'll tell you, defensive linemen hate that when anyone chops their knees.
Evans, the receiver, James Jett, slipped down again. And by the time he recovered, the pass was bouncing off his hands.
We've seen more of this today, you know. And again, I think when you play on a field like this, you have to practice on a field like this, and you have to know this field better than your opponents. I remember Fred Blitnikoff right in that area. Every Saturday, he would go down both sides and run all his patterns and make sure he had the right shoes, the right footing, and knew this field perfectly.
That's one of the reasons he's in the Hall of Fame. Harvey Williams gets the Raider first down. 10.5 minutes left to play now. 31-14, Dallas leading.
And again, the Raiders and Vince Evans calling a lot of these plays because he's doing it without a huddle.
Williams is the deep back. Evans looking deep, looking to the end zone, touchdown. Kerry Cash, the tight end, made the catch. The Raiders move closer.
And everyone's saying, why'd they wait this late? Why didn't they just start throwing every down? That's the way to get the Cowboys.
Why didn't they just start Vince Evans?
Moving and getting away from tackles and completing passes when he's going down, but also just staying in the game and just throwing every play.
Jaeger for the extra point, which is good. And it's the Cowboys by 10. 31-21. A lot of time left.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Black & Decker. It's how things get done. By Sega, makers of Genesis, Color Game Gear, Sega CD, and the fastest, coolest video games ever. And by McDonald's, the official restaurant of the National Football League.
They wrapped Kevin Williams' ankle. He's back on the kickoff return again, flanked by Deion Sanders and Brock Marion. Jaeger's kickoffs so far have been very short, and here's another one. And he's trying to set up a reverse, fake the reverse to Deion Sanders, and back again to the touchdown.
Let's watch Kerry Cash. He's here. He's going to run a corner pattern, but it seems like every time Scott Case is in the game on this prevent defense or the 6 defensive backs or whatever, he's the guy that's getting beaten. And at the end, he's there. He just can't get there to that corner when the tight end Kerry Cash runs the pattern.
Cowboys first down at their own 29. The Raiders have moved to within 10. And the crowd's starting to get back into this. Novacek in motion. And Aikman gives to Emmitt Smith, who slipped in the backfield and can't make anything happen. As the Raider defense, led by Albert Lewis, takes him down behind the line of scrimmage.
See, now when Vince Evans comes and they change the tempo and the Raiders get within 10, now this crowd can get in the game. This is what they've been waiting all day. They were here at 9:30 in the morning getting ready to be able to do these kinds of things. Those guys were here at 6 in the morning getting ready to do this.
I didn't know they were your Raiders.
No, they're not. There's just a guy or two maybe still laying around. I think old Run Jones is down there in the sideline.
Well, we visited with him before the game. Second and a little over 10. Aikman gets it to Darrell Johnston, who gets the first down. Greg Beaker knocked him down.
Well, I'll say this. These 2 tackles for the Cowboys, Mark Tuinei and Eric Williams, have really done a job on Pat Swilling.
They really have.
Because if there was, they've had a little pressure in the middle, and that's been a good battle between the center and the 2 guards in the middle. But Pat Swilling, especially on the pass rush, has been silent all day.
Sanders, Deion Sanders splits wide to the right. Irvin to the left. And here's Aikman to throw it. Has to get rid of it. A flag on the play, and Aikman went down.
And just as I said it, the guy that put him down was Pat Swilling. You just say that he's been quiet all day, that no one has knocked Aikman down. Then the guy that you said has been quiet knocks the guy down that you said hadn't been knocked down.
And there's a penalty flag against the Raiders. Maybe he knocked him down a little too late.
Yeah, well, it was kind of simultaneous. It was very close. He did.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 20 defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Call against Derek Hoskins.
Yeah, so that had nothing to do with Swilling, but
Right.
Swilling really did put a hit on Troy Aikman. Watch him here. He's going to start up the field, then he's going to come underneath. You see right there, he gets away from 2-A, comes underneath, and puts a hit on Troy Aikman just as he throws the ball, then tries to pin him.
1st and 10. The Cowboys give it to Emmitt Smith. He gets near midfield. Greg Biekert made the stop.
Well, it's tough with that big Chesterton in there. That it's darn near, when he and Jerry Ball are in there together, it's darn near impossible to run in there. And that Chester McLaughlin is so big, number 91 there, and so strong, and he just takes off on every play, and he takes the shoulder. He just doesn't take all of you. He takes one part of you. He takes your shoulder. And boy, you better have a big old strong shoulder. That kid there's not worried about that big old strong shoulder.
2nd and 8. Aikman. Irvin. It's a catch.
I'll tell you, the guy that had the big old strong shoulder on Chester McLaughlin on that play, though, was Nate Newton.
Yeah.
You saw that. If you saw that, old Nate Newton put him down. But here's the thing that Michael Irvin does better than anyone. He uses his hands right on the line of scrimmage. Again, as Michael Irvin makes that cut, again, Terry McDaniel slips.
His 9th 100-yard plus receiving game, tied for 2nd all-time. 1st down, Dallas. This is a big defensive series for the Raiders. That's Novacek on the move. Big Chester McLaughlin.
Yeah,
he jumped or somebody pulled him.
Yeah, on that play before, Nate Newton got him, though. Nate put him down on the play before.
Unabated move toward a quarterback. Number 91 on defense.
Unabated.
5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
I guess you have your baited moves and your unabated.
Baited is when one of the offensive linemen move, I guess. Bait you.
Yeah, bait you, or, taunt you, like taunting and baiting. Unabated means that some of these officials never heard that word before.
Yeah.
So they said, wait a minute, I don't know about that unabated. Maybe it was baited. See, that's what they're saying now.
Coming up, following football, except on the West Coast, space above and beyond. Right now, the discussion continues.
I think the discussion is still about baited and unabated.
Well, it could be.
He said unabated, and maybe it was baited.
After further conference, the play stands. Unabated move toward the quarterback. Number 91. 5-yard penalty.
It's still unabated.
Yeah, that's who they call it on Chester McLaughlin there. And we'll see if there's any bait or not. Oh, and unless he calls that bait up there on top. You see, it looked like Eric Williams moved on the other side away from where Chester McLaughlin went.
It's 1st and 5. They walked the penalty off. And the clock is running with close to 7 minutes now before they run this next play. The handoff is to Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt burrows down to about the 32.
Yeah, now they are really getting on Chester McLaughlin now. If they're going to run inside, that time it was Ray Donaldson and Nate Newton. Now that's about 700 pounds a guy on a guy. Now watch, here's Donaldson, here's Nate Newton, and they're going to get on Chester McLaughlin there, and they get him. They get him up, then they get him turned, and then they get him going backwards.
Back. Yep.
And if you're going to run in the middle, you have to do that. You have to get him standing up, then you have to get him going backwards.
2nd and 2. will get to 2 and more. Down to about the 27. Big Eric Williams says that's the first down. Talking to the Cowboys yesterday about his condition. He was injured, came back from that really bad accident last year. Michael Irvin's records are too numerous to count almost. He sets one every time he makes a reception. But back to the Big E. He's not quite where he was.
Yeah, but he's playing better today. I think he kind of likes this grass. And like I said, Pat Swilling was unheard from today, but the one time he was on this other side, and he hasn't gotten, no one has gotten anything over there on Eric Williams today.
Again, the flag on the play. Aikman lets it go. Intended for Novacek, but I think the Raiders might have come across the line early.
Penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
Was Anthony Smith in there and Andre Bruce.
Minnesota winning big today. Detroit's already won. That sets up the match we have
number 55
on
defense,
Thanksgiving Day.
5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Folston.
See, that's the thing that's killed the penalties. I mean, here's Folston right down here. The thing that's really killed the Raiders all day have been the penalties. Penalties, turnovers, just all those kind of things that you can't do it against an average team. The Cowboys obviously aren't an average team.
No. The Raiders have been penalized 12 times for over 100 yards. 108. This is Emmitt Smith. Started slipping and sliding in the backfield. And finally, Emmett's down.
Yeah, and that's what the Cowboys have done so well here. The Raiders, the crowd got back into the game. They got within 10 points. And now the Cowboys have just taken this ball and methodically gone down the field. And they're just, in essence, just playing keep away.
This drive. And the people who can execute a drive like this is really the mark of a fine football team. 2 tight ends. Second about 6. Flag on the play. Aikman has Novacek for a touchdown, but a penalty marker down. I think Kendall Watkins was in motion.
Hey, Jay Novacek was wide open.
Oh,
though.
boy.
Penalties.
You're right. It is against the Cowboys.
Illegal motion on number 83 offense. Moving toward the line of scrimmage before the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
You see what it is here's Kendall Watkins here. Now, when you go in motion, you have to go parallel. You can't turn up before the ball snaps. You see him turn up right there? Oh, yeah, he was way in motion.
Yep.
That wasn't even close. Sometimes they just dip a shoulder or something. Kendall Watkins on that play, he turned all the way and started running up.
2nd and 11. Pass to Moose Johnston.
And knocked down again by Chester McLaughlin. I'll tell you, Aikman is going to be very upset for Watkins and moving on that play.
Yep.
So watch Troy Aikman here. He's going to get knocked down. Chester McLaughlin straight up the middle. It goes right by Larry Allen, and he hits Troy Aikman just as he throws the ball. And Troy's saying, I shouldn't even been in there throwing that ball because the one before should have been a touchdown to Jay Novacek.
3rd and 3. 2 tight ends again. Irvin split wide left. Smith is deep. Watkins not in motion this time. The pass was deflected. Intended for Darrell Johnston, but it never made it. And Bonio will try.
Right now, the Raiders are within 10 points, which would mean a touchdown and a field goal. Now, if the Cowboys make this field goal, the Raiders will need 2 touchdowns with 3 minutes, 58 seconds to go.
Bonio from about 39 yards out. He's been hot. And he stays hot. They call it 38 yards, and Chris Bonio again knocks it through. Reason for Barry Switzer to celebrate. 34-21, Dallas. The MetLife blimp, Snoopy 2, under the command of Captains Tony Stevenson and Lee Bradbury. Overhead, MetLife blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles an hour, altitude of 1,200 feet. Marvelous view of the Oakland Coliseum. O'Neill's kickoff, fielded at the 15 by Napoleon Kaufman. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Sandy Grossman. Studio produced by Scott Atkinson, directed by Bob Levy. Executive producers at Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. Cowboys 34. The Raiders 21. Blimp overhead, getting that view you just saw. They're close overhead. Here's Vince Evans. Down. He got rid of it again on the way down. This time they say he was down.
You know that blimp you were talking about, I smoked that blimp last week.
Did you?
Yeah. We were in Dallas.
Yeah.
Challenged it to a race. They accepted the challenge. The last thing I looked, we were riding. And I saw them stop and turn around. And I looked for them over Arizona, didn't see them.
They accepted the challenge and then
they quit.
Yeah. Basically, that's what you
we
have to
started
call it.
out. I told them where I was going. I was in Dallas. I was going across. I was going to go on 40, and then I was going to go on 20, and then 10.
5-yard penalty. First down.
I was going through Texas. I was going through New Mexico, Arizona, into California. Come on, let's go. We're ready. I'm ready. Got my guys. We're ready. We're going. I look back. I couldn't find them. We smoked them so fast. We were still in Texas. We were like in Van Horn, Texas.
I think you got a bigger tank than they do.
Yeah, I do.
On first down, Evans pump fake. Incomplete. Intended for Ismail. Again broken up by Sanders.
Yeah, that's what Deion Sanders does now when they know that they're going to go deep. Watch Rocket Ismail come in here. He gives a little move there. He gets Deion, and then Deion just puts his head down and says, oh, I know what this one is. I'll just beat you to the point where the ball's going to get there. And he does. I mean, that's the thing. You know, that's recovery speed. He can go for a move and then turn and still beat you to the ball.
Outside to Williams. Harvey Williams. Taken down by Robert Bailey.
Well, the Raiders have to think here of getting 2 touchdowns now. After that field goal, they need 2 touchdowns, so they have to get a score, then they're going to have to get an onside kick, and then they're going to have to get another score.
Don't forget, coming up, following football coverage, space above and beyond, except on the West Coast. 3rd and 5.
That's what we were last week. They were above, and I was beyond.
They were in space. There's Evans. Tim Brown shakes the tackler and gets the first down. If time permits, when this is over, we may have a brief post-game show. Get you up to date on the scores from around the league. Again, there's an injured Cowboy. That's Robert Bailey. That looks like a cramp.
And they had a cramp or a hamstring. It's always, you know, and one of those things, the good news is it's they put just in front of a cramp. It's just a cramp. The bad news is it's a pull. The real bad news is it's a tear. And he looks like he wants to stretch that out. I'll tell you what, this has been a long game and a lot of passing. There's a lot of tired players out there because the toughest thing you have to do, I think, physically or you know, on your conditioning is rush the passer and cover for deep passes.
As you said way back in the beginning, this is sort of a heavy field, and it requires more of an effort to run and to rush the passer.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the all-new Plymouth Voyager, the next generation of the minivan.
Again, coming up, following football coverage, space above and beyond, except on the West Coast.
Look at those two balloons going.
Headed for space.
You see, they were going, gone.
Here's Vince Evans, back to pass. Pass is caught by Darrell Hobbs. Brock Marion made the stop.
The Raiders going no huddle. They have plenty of time because, again, they need 2 scores, but they do have all 3 timeouts. They're going to need all those timeouts, and they're going to need an onside kick if they get a score. They don't have enough guys on the field. Now they finally got them.
Out of bounds, stops the clock. 2:45 left.
And again, Deion Sanders over there on Darrell Hobbs playing off. And they did that earlier the last time they had the ball. You see Deion deep back there. Hobbs just comes up and runs that 12-yard out. That's not even a good pattern, but Deion is so far off him with no bump or anything. As long as he does that, they can get that pass all day.
Well, if the score were different, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, it can get close. I still think the Raiders can get a score here and then get another score.
Here's Evans. Brown overthrown. Vince Evans is never going to be your passer who has high percentage marks and number of completions as opposed to the number of attempts.
Yeah, because
he shoots it for the end zone.
Right, he does what he has to do. I mean, that's what they have to do. They don't need any 2-yard passes anymore. Right. I mean, they talk about that West Coast offense, that short pass offense, that's fine as long as you're ahead and you have everything under control. But when you get behind there, sometimes you have to loosen that defense up, and there's sometimes you have to score and you can't spend a lot of time just, flopping around the line of scrimmage.
He's 13 out of 27. He's back again. And he hits Tim Brown. Darren Woodson knocked Brown out of bounds, but it's going to be 1st and goal for the Raiders.
If you throw passes over 10 yards, all you have to do is complete 1 out of 3.
That was 18. Darren Woodson hurt his leg earlier. Looked as if it might have been much more serious than seeing him back playing now. 1st and goal from the 6.
And the other thing that the Raiders are doing now, they're driving the ball down the field, but they're also driving the ball down the field quickly.
And getting out of bounds and stopping the clock. 2:35 left. Williams behind Evans. Might have taken too much time.
I think he did.
Ron Blum.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
In this situation, that doesn't hurt you, though, because he's still going to throw the ball.
Still going to throw it to the end zone.
He's still going to throw it to the end zone, and adding 5 yards doesn't hurt.
Tim Brown has 10 catches for 155 yards, the 1 touchdown. 113 yards now. The Raiders have been penalized.
That's what's killed the Raiders.
Yeah. That and a hot day by Aikman and Emmitt Smith's 3 touchdowns.
Good offensive line by the Cowboys.
Yep. Deflected at the line. Evans went running up
and
to
Bill
Bates. Yeah. What?
I don't know. You must have thought that Bates grabbed someone. But Bates is down there. He plays the 7th defensive back, or like a middle linebacker. The ball is deflected. Oh, and that's what he saw. He saw Bill Bates come up and just spear Tim Brown. He was looking. He wasn't talking about the tip or anything. He saw that spear by Bates on Brown.
Evans incomplete to the outside. Jet covered by Larry Brown.
Bill Bates was looking at Tim Brown, and last week Jerry Rice came on a crossing pattern and Bill Bates missed him. Bill Bates usually zeroes in on things, and he probably says, I'm not going to miss anything anymore. This is really a short pass here.
Evans is upset.
Well, it must have been a wrong pattern or something, because he just kind of threw that one out of bounds.
Darren Benson now at defensive tackle for the Cowboys. Evans has his pass picked off by Woodson. And the Cowboys will take over at about the 12-yard line.
Now, we talked about Darren Woodson and how valuable he is, because when they play regular defense, he can be a safety. When they go to the nickel or 7 defensive backs, he can be a linebacker, and he has that speed and he has the hitting ability. Here, I don't know what that was. It was just like he was just playing zone. He was just underneath. Vince Evans throws it right to him. He starts to misdirect someone and just sits right there. I don't know if Evans, obviously Vince Evans didn't see him because he just threw it right to him.
Didn't think he was going to sit right there. I think he saw Hobbs cutting across the middle, and all of a sudden there was somebody in a white uniform in the way.
And he probably thought he was going to go with him, and all Woodson did was bump him.
Again, a reminder that coming up next, following football, Space Above and Beyond. Novacek in motion. And the handoff to Emmitt Smith. Emmitt over 100 yards again today. Anthony Smith made the tackle. Timeout Raiders. 2:17, 2:16 left.
Yeah, and that's the first time out of the Raiders. They're gonna use them all now.
Don't forget Thanksgiving Day. Minnesota and Detroit both won today. And John and I will be in Detroit for that Thanksgiving matchup. And that NFC Central always, you never can figure what's going to happen.
Well,
Green Bay 7-4 lead.
Right, and Detroit won today, and Minnesota won today, and even the last team is only 2 plays, 2 games away from the first team.
Tampa Bay won today by a point.
And you go back in the history and the tradition of the Thanksgiving Day game that's always been in Detroit. Remember, years ago it used to be the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions every year.
Always.
And Vince Lombardi didn't want it anymore, so it's not the Packers anymore, but it's still the Lions.
There's Emmitt Smith. And he gets it out to about the 22. Albert Lewis made the stop.
Lewis on the tackle for the Raiders.
And we near by another hour.
I know we're looking them over. I mean, one thing you like about them, they all stay in there packed together.
Did you?
I see a 6-legger in there. I'm looking for an 8-legger. I saw a 6-legger in there. I got one picked out.
You got him picked out?
Yep, right in there. Right, if you come in this and point right down there, that's where he was.
I wonder if he knows he's been singled out.
He may have some friends that I'm going to bring with me.
2 minutes left. Think you're tough enough to play with Young, Marino, or Elway? Then tune into Fox this week for your chance to become a backup quarterback to an NFL superstar. Visa's NFL Quarterback Club week on Fox begins this Wednesday, brought to you by Visa, the official card of the NFL. Here's Emmitt Smith to the left. Slips and gets close to a first down.
Justin McLaughlin on the tackle.
Is Don Mosbar.
And remember, he was the great center for the Raiders, 13-year veteran in a scrimmage this year in Austin, Texas against the Cowboys. He had his left eye injured, had numerous surgeries, almost lost the eye, still doesn't have his sight back in it. They were in a scrimmage. It was Chad Henning somehow got his hand inside his mask. Chad Henning still doesn't remember how it happened, neither does Don Mosbar. And he said he can kind of see shadows out of that left eye, but nothing more, and they hope that in time that it's going to come back and keep getting better.
They'll evaluate again when the season is over, they say.
You know, the Raiders only had 3 centers in their history, Jim Otto being the first, Dave Dalby, who's also here today, being the second, and Don Mosbar the third. I mean, one thing about a Raiders center, he gets that job, gets that ball, and stays with it for a long, long time.
Dan Turk, now the center. Any team that's been as successful as the Raiders have, usually, that's a pretty good indication.
Right. And they're all here today.
Jets punt bounces over the head of Tim Brown. I don't know if it hit him or not. If it did, they can't advance it. They can recover it. Billy Davis is the man down.
I tell you, if Tim Brown would have caught that ball, though, he would have picked up about 20 yards of field position. You know, he didn't want to take that chance because he didn't get 20 yards of field position. He didn't want to fumble or let the Cowboys get the ball. Well, he figures with Vince Evans, what the heck is 20 yards? Just one pass, we can get that.
Turns out to be a 46-yard punt by Jet. That's Joe Bugle next to Mike White.
Bugle, the assistant head coach. Remember the great job he did with the Hogs and the Washington Redskins. He kind of calls the running plays. Jim Fossil calls the pass plays. It's kind of a calling plays by committee.
3-man rush on Evans to Brown. Out of bounds, complete.
Yeah, one thing we talked about early, the confidence in this game that the Cowboys come in, and they had to question their confidence because they were knocked out last week against the 49ers. But I think, you know, if they really did lose it, I think they got it back today. I don't think it's affected the Raiders. I think the Raiders feel that whatever happens here, that they can play with anyone in this league.
Here's Evans back to throw. Do you think, we don't know, obviously, how badly Jeff Hostetler is hurt. We talk about Vince Evans being a change of pace. Do you think day in, day out, week by week, Vince Evans can get the job done?
No, they have to have Jeff Hostetler. I mean, I think they need, I'm not saying Vince Evans couldn't do the job, but they need the combination of, you know, Jeff Hostetler and Vince Evans. We're talking about our centers. There's one right there, Dave Dalby. Jim Otto was the first one. Dave Dalby was the second one. Don Mosbar was the third one.
3rd and 5. Evans gets the ball to Kerry Cash, who's tight end. Lundus Bryce on the tackle. Here's what happened to Jeff Hostetler.
But again, you know, that left shoulder was really bothering him before the game. You can see Chad Hennings hits him, and he comes right down on that left shoulder. Although I don't think, because it's his left shoulder, I don't think that's an injury that's going to keep him out for a long time.
Cash makes the reception from Evans and gets out of bounds. Bryce again, don't forget, coming up following football. Space above and beyond, except on the West Coast.
Jeff Hostetler is one of those guys that, you know, has had so many injuries. I mean, he had that fractured throat injury. He has the broken left hand. He has the shoulder. And he's a tough guy. He always comes back from these things. Michael Irvin, who we saw there, was in a funk all last week. I think today he probably came out of his funk.
2nd and 8. Evans. Incomplete. Nearly intercepted. Intended for Cash. Woodson almost came up with it again.
You know, in fact, when you talk to the Cowboys about the Cowboys last week, the two words that they used most were a funk and a hangover. Yeah. And they, you know, talked about Michael Irvin. I think they were all affected by it. I mean, losing's tough. There's no way that losing is easy. There's no way to make it easy. There's no way you can accept it. I mean, if you ever do, then you're not even a competitor. There's no way it's easy, but some people take it a lot tougher than others, and some people just can't get over it. They take it too long.
Evans gets the ball to Williams. Gets the first down. Inside the 35.
Now, what is this? I mean, this
doesn't look like Oakland.
No. I mean, if the guys came back, you know, I mean, like the old thing, like Bronco Nagurski and those guys, and they saw that at if they saw this football stadium and this grass and stuff, they'd love it. they would say, what the heck's that all about?
Evans' pass intended for Jet, incomplete. He slipped down about 5 times.
Yeah, they really don't understand this field. I mean, they have the wrong shoes, or they don't have control of their speed or something, because that's happened way too much to them. And you say that it'll happen more to defenders because they have to react, but it's happened to the Raiders on both sides of the ball.
Dallas 34, Oakland 21. The Cowboys at one time led 31-7. Evans out to Williams. And he just trots out of bounds, stops the clock with 17 seconds left.
Woodson forced him out of bounds.
Yeah, the Cowboys seem to have the number of the AFC, but you know, the Cowboys have won 8 straight against AFC teams on the road, but you know, they've beaten everyone. I mean, if you say who's the best team in football right now, the Cowboys are, so they're going to have that record against all teams and all situations too.
Pass complete to Brown. Timeout, Raiders. That's their last one. That's the last time they can stop the clock other than getting out of bounds.
But the one thing that this Cowboy team knows, and this guy here, Barry Switzer, knows, and all his players know, they have to beat the 49ers. That if they're going to be the best team, they have to beat the champion. And the champion right now is the San Francisco 49ers. And the San Francisco 49ers have beaten the Cowboys 3 straight.
Here are the standings in the NFC East. Dallas, with this win today, will improve their record to 9-2. The Eagles 7-4. They still have to play each other. And then the Giants, the Redskins, and Arizona. And here's where the Raiders stand in the AFC West. Kansas City with the best record of anybody, 9-1. The Raiders will be 8-3. Denver won today, 6-5. Seattle 5-6. They've turned things around to a degree, and San Diego 4-7.
Yeah, and that Kansas City-Oakland thing isn't as widespread as it looks, because one thing, Kansas City has to play these Cowboys Thanksgiving, and number 2, they have to play the Raiders again.
Here, Evans, and the jump ball is intercepted by Brock Marion, I believe, but I think the whole show was out of the end zone. And we still have 3 seconds left.
The whole show was out of the whole bunch of them just went out of the end zone. They took their show down to the end zone and all flopped out of it.
Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys.
He came under a lot of heat this past week,
he
didn't
he? He and Barry Switzer.
Yeah, Barry Switzer said he'd take it all.
Al Davis.
You know, right in front of him there is Jim Otto. You know, we were talking about the Raider centers, and we showed Don Mosbar, and we showed Dave Dalby, and then there was Jim Otto there, who was the first Raider center.
And behind him, the guy who put it all together, the franchise.
And both of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Both of them should be.
Both of them super guys. I'll tell you, I have as much respect for Al Davis as anyone in this game.
Quarterback got.
And that will do it. As time runs out on the Raiders, and the Cowboys are victorious 34-21.